And here we are once again for another paradigm shift team building video hangout on the internet. It's recorded as a podcast for your convenience to be able to get in touch and learn a little bit more about what the paradigm shift community is about. This is Brendon, and I'm joined with some amazing people, some amazing shifters here with us tonight for this recording. So all of us who are here tonight, let's say hello to the internets.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi everybody. Hello there.
Awesome. Cool, guys. So we do have a few people with us here tonight. Again, my name is Brendon, and we also have Brianna, who many of you are probably familiar with at this point if you've listened to past episodes. If you haven't listened to the past Hangouts, please feel free to do that. They're actually really insightful. They're kind of enjoyable to listen to. And we also have Ellie, and we have Kamala, and we have our special guest, Michael Brazel, who many of you know quite well. And we have Michelle, who's been with us in past Hangouts as well. And we have Sphira. Oh, I screwed it up, didn't I? Shaney, a.k.a. Sphira. Yeah, okay, there, I think I got it. Cool. So again, just as a quick introduction and a little bit of an overview as to what it is that we're doing here, this is a team building hangout for the Paradigm Shift Central Project. The Paradigm Shift Central Project is a hub for conscious media, and it also is a real-life interactive game to help assist in the evolution of consciousness. And the way how people play the game is multiple ways, but it is about creating conscious media. It is about actively helping assist in the shift in consciousness as a shifter, and that can mean simply by like creating conscious art. That can mean like, you know, working on your own development, and it can mean being an artist, and it can also mean getting more involved with your physical community in terms of things like free hugs, planting seeds to help assist in the shift, and also moving towards being able to create physical paradigm shift communities that have a regular open-minded discussion meditation groups. And there are a bunch of these communities across the world right now, and more of them are popping up. So bringing people together through the magic of synchronicity and being able to have these meetings is really important, and this is kind of like a digital version of that. So we'll all just kind of, I don't want to spend too much time just on like news introduction, but I'll just give you a rundown on what has happened since the last broadcast, and then we'll go into introductions and get to know a little bit more about the people who are here. And again, you know, like that's kind of the cool thing about this, is that this is a documentation of the shift in consciousness, and for us to be able to get to know each other, to build as a team, and for you guys to really be able to get to experience the real life story that is happening and unfolding here. And of course, if you enjoy listening to this, you're totally welcome to get involved with it, and also to whether it be with this hangout or future hangouts. And again, just go through paradigmshiftcentral.com and sign up through the LiveNet website, or the Paradigm Shift Central website. It's the same website, and you can get involved that way. So just as a quick rundown in terms of what has happened within the last week. Last week, or just recently, was the pass of the solstice. So the solstice was on Monday, and today is Wednesday, and we did a special Paradigm Shift Jedi Global Activation Meditation, and that went really well. And part of the reason for that was because just slightly before that, on the 18th, is when Star Wars came out. And within that time frame, I also released a video that went fairly viral on the internet talking about the secret reason as to why people love Star Wars is actually a real thing, and how that is what Star Wars is talking about, and how it's a reflection of our shift in consciousness. So the good news is that that was another example of how effective media can be used to plant ideas for people to shift paradigms. Strategic conscious media can like reach new target audiences. So that one was something I designed to be able to like reach more the mainstream, which was like the Star Wars audience, to be able to get them thinking some shifty stuff, some metaphysical type stuff, and to invite them to get involved with the Paradigm Shift community. So that was really cool, and the global meditation went really well, and I definitely recommend you guys go and check that out. Again, through the main Paradigm Shift Central website, you'll see it through there. And other than that, there's been some ongoing updates with the website. It is still ongoing. There's a lot more that I have to do with it. but that is just something that I encourage you to go explore. And if you are signed up as a participant in it, then I totally welcome you guys to start creating quest journals. And again, the quest journals are a tool for you to be able to document your own shift in consciousness and to practice creating conscious media. And also the conscious articles are part of it, where you work up to the idea of creating more specific topics, similar to the articles that you see all across the internet now, but something that you wrote and about like a topic of your interest, and we will help you get it out there to a wider audience through the platform. The other thing is that the newsletter is getting more refined, and if you go to the website, you'll see the little box at the top that says add your email for events and media newsletter updates. If you haven't added your email to that, I highly recommend it, because Facebook is unreliable, and that will give you more immediate updates on that. Other than that, the only other other than the little things, right now the 2D and 3D timeline on the website that I currently have added is currently disabled. That's because there is a thing that Google changed and it messed up the RSS feeds, and we're looking at fixing that. But other than that, I've just been making minor tweaks, and coming up within the next week or two, I'll be launching the store, and through there you guys will be able to buy the shift buttons again, and also the crystal wraps that we'll have available, and the love wands. And the love wands are, I'll just show you guys on video real quick, and for those listening, they're like massage tools. So you can see here, like it's like a crystal that's in polymer clay, and they're basically like really good for massaging different parts of the body, and also just for like using for directing intention and everything. And yeah, you guys will be able to try those out for yourself, and they're totally amazing and encouraged to be used even for like sensual purposes as well. So yeah, that's part of that, and shirts will also be available in the next little bit. I'm going to be relaunching some of the campaigns, and there's a video that I'll talk about this video later, but I'll just tell you about it now. There's a video that I'm going to be working on in addition to a couple other videos that I'm working on, and it's going to be just like a simple video, but I want to do it with the idea of a New Year's evolution challenge. So opposed to just being a New Year's resolution, it's the idea of a New Year's evolution challenge. And this is something my buddy suggested to me, but it would be like basically challenging people to feel more. And I think that's kind of like a cool thing to move into 2016 with, really encouraging people to like go into the heart. And that's like something we can talk about as a group, you know, the idea of like a lot of people are sort of like maybe too much in the third eye and not as much in the heart. But if we start with the heart and then move into the third eye, I think like that is like kind of a good way to sort of approach things. And I would love to be able to get your guys' ideas on that. And another thing I want to be able to get your guys' ideas on later into this is also just in terms of community funding, and specifically for crowdfunding for my Patreon crowdfunding campaign, because through the crowdfunding for that, that's supporting the ongoing project. And I'd love to hear what you guys think in terms of additional ideas of how we can successfully raise more money for the community through the Patreon crowdfunding campaign. And yeah, we'll go through that as we get there. So that's pretty much just like the news that I'll share with you guys, and we'll and other than that, like I'm doing good, like I feel good. I'm keeping busy working on the project and stuff. I had a really interesting like sleep paralysis experience earlier in the week that I'd be interested to tell you guys a little bit more about, and we can sort of go back to that. And yeah, other than that, the paradigm shift meetings in London are going good still. We'll be on break for the next couple weeks. But the last ones that we had went really well. There's about 15 people who attended, and I have a feeling that in the new year more people are going to be attending. So having them on a regular basis is really useful. So that's all I want to say for now, and thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your patience. And we'll switch it over to Michael Brazel. And again, like as we move through these introductions, basically just kind of giving everyone here a chance to say like who they are, where they are from, maybe what some of their interests or like specialty skill sets, like what are some of their superpowers, maybe might be the better question in terms of like Jedi stuff, and also like what does the shift look like where they are, and how are they helping assist in the shift. And again, that can be through community involvement, but it can also be through like personal development, art, maybe they're writing a book or anything like that. And just as a quick introduction, Michael Brazel, those of you who aren't familiar, he's helped out with Paradigm Shift Radio a whole bunch in the past. Me and him started Paradigm Shift Radio together, and he still does his own regular podcasts. And you can find him and everyone here through the links on the Paradigm Shift Central site of this broadcast down in the information below. And it was his birthday a few days ago, so let's all say happy birthday to Michael Brazel.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Cool. So, Michael, please, we'll pass the talking stick to you and introduce yourself to the people here and to the people of the internets.
All right, so I'm Michael Brazel, as Skull has pointed out. Yeah, I've been around the block a few times. I live in Columbia, South Carolina. My interests are pretty much all over the place, but just to narrow it down, I'm an intuitive healer. I do intuition work professionally. I teach yoga. I'm a student of the Anderson Fairy tradition of witchcraft. I would consider myself a witch, a warrior, a poet, an activist, a mystic, a journeyer, a seeker. I don't know. I just do a little bit of everything. I feel like I need to feed my spiritual ADD. What I'm finding is this year things are moving into more of an integrated place. So even with my work, I'm going to be doing a lot more of working with intersecting all of those paths into something that's a little bit more approachable and acceptable for others. So I host a radio show also on Blog Talk. blogtalk.com/Michael Brazel, so it's pretty easy to find. And we go live pretty much every night. We're not doing it tonight. We're about to go on hiatus for the new year. So we're doing one more show tomorrow night, and then we'll be going on break until after the new year. So that's always fun. That's a great way to get community together and to just get people talking about spiritual things. I'll be doing a lot more focused shows next year because I'm also working on my book, something that Spirit's been giving me and pushing me to write for a very long time. But in that book, there are going to be very specific topics and things that will help to evolve people as they're working on their spiritual journey. So lots of stuff happening here locally, lots of yoga classes, lots of new things happening at the new studio that I work at here in Columbia. We're going to be doing lots of meditation stuff. I'm going to be doing more shift-oriented type stuff in the next year as well. We're planning to do some free yoga in the park. We're going to be doing some of the free hug stuff, some poetry gatherings. So we're working to get the gatherings happening for next year. So lots of stuff. There's a lot of resistance here because we are in the Bible Belt. This is, and for those not familiar with what the Bible Belt is, it's a very conservative area. So there's a lot of resistance to even things like meditation. So for us to do these things in a very public way is important because it helps to shift people's perceptions about things like meditation. When I was hosting my meetup groups, people would come and they would tell me they have to lie to their families about where they were going, and it was just meditation. We weren't even doing channeling or anything like super crazy like I usually do. This was just meditation. And even yoga, there's small pockets here and there, but they're starting to come together. So it's nice to see that happening, but there is a lot of work and a lot of resistance. So it takes us coming together, even if it's just a few of us, to start shifting those perceptions. I mean, just look at me. I shift perceptions just walking down the street here in Columbia, South Carolina, where it's illegal to do tattoos above the neck and below the elbow line. So I automatically stand out. Yeah, you can't do tattoos above the neckline and below, I think, either the wrist line or the elbow. It's something crazy. It's something stupid. But so I come here and I'm automatically already out of the box. So here we are. So it's nice to see that South Carolina is slowly shifting. Big thing on our radio show, we just had Barbara Marks Hubbard on the show. If you don't know who she is, you should really look her up. She's very shifty. She's been around for a long time. I think she's 89 years old. Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote Conversations with God, wrote a book about her. She's best friends with Deepak Chopra. She did a lot of stuff around 2012, and we interviewed her about her latest book. So it was a really big deal for the show. It was probably one of my biggest interviews to date on the show. It's like Oprah level guest on the show, which was funny because the whole time she was on the show, she was making dinner and like chomping on crackers and stuff. So it was actually one of my most fun interviews as well. So definitely check that out on the channel if you get a chance. She talks about a lot of stuff about bringing community together and how it's so important now for us not to hold back, because we are entering in the global crisis. But what she says is in this crisis, we're able to now find new ways to get through the crisis. The crisis becomes a catalyst for change. So as we start noticing things shifting around us, we're then able to also shift with it. And it's important for us to come into that awareness. So it was a really, really powerful show for that, and especially for how it really aligns with a lot of stuff that Skull and I have talked about on our various radio shows and stuff over the years. But that's pretty much it. That's my story. That's who I am, and that's what I'm doing these days.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also.
That's awesome. Yeah, congratulations on that interview. I gotta go back and listen to that one for sure. It sounds like it was a real gem. So that's cool, man. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions or comments on anything that Michael said? Like, there's some things that sort of came up, but if anybody else has anything that they want to.
I wanted to comment. I just think it's really great that that the shift is happening down there. I really had no idea. And I have family down there, and I'm really trying to get them involved with understanding like the signs of Mother Earth. And I'm so happy that you're down there doing the light work that needs to be done. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I think that's even just what you said briefly, just to hit upon it, Michael. Like I think that's really an important thing to, or what sorry, your guest was talking about, Hubbard, how the idea that like it's within the problem lies the solution. Like it's when things like get to the point where we can't ignore them anymore that we are sort of like forced to find new ways. I think that's kind of just like an important theme that we'll be getting to see more of. It's 9:06 on my phone. I'll show it to you real quick. But 9:06 is like totally my resonating number, and I've been seeing it all freaking day. Like, oh my god, I went downtown today just to like run some errands, but I was just like getting hit left, right, and center with it. But like that's a good thing, because that's like the force. So I just had to share that. I don't even know why I looked at my phone. That was so weird. That's synchronicity in action right there. Everything is where it needs to be and is unfolding as it should. Or something.
Does it mean anything?
9:6 itself.
But yeah, it doesn't. For you?
I mean, I've explained here and there, but basically, like symbolically, it sort of represents kind of the same thing that a yin yang would, like even like the as above, so below, intention and purpose out, male female duality perception sort of thing. So for me, it's a very potent symbol, which is like why I see it everywhere, and it's one of my tattoos. It's not on my on my face, but it's still there. So
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Michael, was there anything else that you just wanted to add, and otherwise we'll just move on to another person for introductions?
No, I think that's it. I think, it's just important to continue getting out there. The world is changing rapidly and even faster as we move forward. So 2016 is going to be an even faster moving year, and there's going to be a lot more stuff grabbing our attention, but also dividing where we put our focus. So it's really important to stay the course, whatever that course is. So don't be afraid to do self-care, to honor yourself in that process, because that can sometimes be the most difficult part for light workers and healers and those of us walking this path. So self-care should come first, because if your cup's not full, you can't fill someone else's cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I don't know the full details, but I know like astrologically like we're entering into an interesting phase right now, especially with the full moon on Christmas. I feel like that's an interesting thing. Again, like Christ in Mass, like the awakening of Christ consciousness within Mass. But I know like several of the planets are going into direct stuff right now. But yeah, like I think, like having that time home, having that opportunity to spend with family can be a very, very potent healing opportunity. So yeah, I would definitely encourage all of us to sort of reflect on any of the self work that can be done over the next, couple weeks within this holiday break that we got going on, or just time period in general. Michael, do you know anything about the astrology aspects of what's coming up?
No.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no,
not. Yeah, it's like once we start getting to math and trigonometry and stuff, I turn it off,
Fair enough. That's all good. Cool. Okay, so thanks again, Michael. And again, if anybody, or I encourage people to go check out Michael's podcast. And again, Michael Brazel, and Brazell. Is it two L's?
Yeah, two L's.
Two
And we
L's.
have like 400 hours of
Oh
episodes.
my God.
So
Yeah.
crazy.
Lots of content. So lots of podcast material. So check it out. And again, links for that I will post into the show notes of this link on Paradigm Shift Essential. So definitely check it out. Cool. All right. So I was gonna recommend that we actually pass the mic over to Saphira, and because I know she has to leave soon-ish, and if she's cool with that, we can totally do that. So. And Saphira is new-ish to the Paradigm Shift community as of last night, I guess, technically. Even though you've had a button for like 6 months, but you never even it didn't reveal itself. So,
That was the weirdest thing.
yeah, I gave a button to someone else, and then they gave the button to her. But we were at the same festival, but we're not sure if we met at the festival. But we totally probably walked right past each other at some point. And then
I have the button sitting on my dryer, and I look at it every time I wash my clothes.
But you hadn't checked the website yet, and now here you are. So that's exactly how the buttons work. So yeah, and then last night you saw the Star Wars video, and that like really resonated with you, and then we got talking, and yeah, one thing led to another, and here we are. So thank you so much for joining us here, and welcome to the team that we got going on.
Teamwork.
Shift. Cool. So yeah, I'll mute myself and I'll pass the talking stick to you. And again, just introduce who you are, what name you want to go by, where you are, some of your interests or superpowers, and what the shift looks like where you are, and anything that you're doing to help assist in the shift in consciousness that you would like to share or otherwise. So I'll mute myself and pass it to you. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Spira. I don't really know exactly how to say everything, so I'm just going to pour it out real quick. Basically, I'm very interested in dreams and psychology and I guess communicating with the divine through those things in a way. And I guess a few years ago I started having these really intense dreams that were just really intense, and I was like, I need to start writing these down. So I started writing them down a lot, and I started realizing that I was having a lot of messages pour through in the journal entries, and I wanted to write a story out of them, and I got kind of like blocked for a while. But within the past few months or so, I had another dream, and it's been like a few years since I've had an intense one like this. But I had another dream that it was just super, super intense, and I like woke up crying because I was so happy because it was amazing. And I ended up like all of a sudden the flow is back, so it's like the force is back with me, and I was pretty excited about that. And I started writing, and all of a sudden I couldn't stop writing. So that's basically what I've been focusing on doing, is just I guess trying to just let it out through the writing instead of letting it get stagnant, and just let it flow through because something is trying to come out. And it was really weird because I've been writing this whole story about basically it has different aspects of it, but it's the dreamer is doing his dreamy things or its dreamy things, and it talks about the creation or whatever of this thing that we're experiencing, and I don't know, it ends up sending the light of lucidity to a bunch of dream characters so that it can like regain awareness of the dream, because it's like losing lucidity, and it wants to bring awareness back to the dream so that it can continue to lucid dream, basically. And so in its last attempt to, remain lucid, it sends its light to the dream characters through their dreams, and it sends that light in the form of a theophany through their dreams, which communicates to them from the dreamer to the dream characters about like what's happening, and just to remain aware and everything, and everything's okay, you just need to come out of your sleeping state or whatever. And I went to see the Star Wars movie, and basically everything that happened in the Star Wars movie was everything that I was writing about, but like in a different form, and it just totally blew my mind, and I was like, oh, and I was like writing about it to my friend, and then I came across Brendon's Star Wars thing as I was writing about it, and I was like, what is even going on right now? So that's pretty cool. But basically, I'm just sort of, I guess, hermiting it up, writing over here, and maybe when that stage of creativity comes out, then I'll start actually interacting with humans more and becoming more, coalescing with humanity, I guess, in that way rather than energetically and whatnot. So that's basically it.
That's awesome. Did you say where you were?
Right now, I'm in Tallahassee, Florida.
Cool. Awesome. And do you want to give like any information on like what does consciousness look like in Tallahassee, Florida right now?
I actually have not been out too much, been kind of inside a lot, but it has been very interesting. It's mainly what I've been noticing is a lot of synchronistic like pulls towards people and just meeting people. Like the first day I got here, I was really sad because I just left Toronto and all of my friends were there, and I was really sad. The first day I got back, I was really sad and sitting at a coffee shop, and then a friend that I was with, who was like the only friend that I have here besides my partner and family, he saw this girl and he was like, she has a flower of life tattoo, and so he said hi, and like we ended up meeting her and like a whole bunch of people, and they all are into like creating music that's like consciously uplifting and meant to spread a message of like hope throughout, places. And I don't know, it's a pretty interesting pull towards, there's basically a lot more consciously attuned individuals than I was expecting out here. And there's a lot of yoga happening. Some of my friends have started doing that, teaching out here too, which is pretty neat. So it's pretty good.
That's cool. Yeah, like I think it's, state the obvious. I think the shift is happening everywhere. Like even just a few years ago, I'm sure it would have been a different story with where you are. But it's good to hear, and like as a reminder for people, as part of like the ways of the shifter, if we want to use that hashtag, which I do on Instagram, it's that idea of like the force is in one way comparable to synchronicity. The force is in the Star Wars movie, without having to spoil it, like how all the characters coincidentally cross paths, and it coincidentally cross paths in such a way that it like allows them to like fulfill their mission without them even trying for it to happen. Like the force is like the synchronicity that connects people when they need to connect. So like that is like, for me, part of the empowerment of shifters is the idea of like, once we do get outside of our house, it's very likely that, you know, through our own energy fields that we create, we will run into other conscious people. You know, like attracts like. So like that's the other thing, you know, like find the other dreamers, build the tribe. Spend one day like walking around town, and you'll probably like run into people who will have flower life tattoos or shirts with like conscious symbols on them, and that's kind of like visually what you may be looking for. And I mean, of course, like even things like shift buttons, which again are like badges for shifters to be able to recognize each other. So I mean, that's why, you know, if you have one of the shift buttons, you can put that on any article of clothing you have, and instantly you turn yourself into a beacon for other shifters to be able to recognize you, which I think is pretty cool. So Shani, was there anything else you want to?
I'm pretty good right now. I'm still getting used to communicating with people. Thank you for having me on here and everything. And it's nice to meet everybody.
For sure. And yeah, no, thank you so much for being here. And of course, like this is totally just practice, absolutely, which is like a big part of this. You know, we come here to be able to practice communicating with each other. So again, so we can have conversations with people like out on the street spontaneously, with more comfort, with more ease, and with more confidence, and like literally, you know, be the beacon for more people to be like, whoa, you know, like that person's like openly expressing their spirituality, like that's so cool, you know, like. So I think it's kind of moving forward with that fearlessness, and really just like beaming your authentic self so that other people can see it. So kudos to everyone here who's because you guys are rocking it. So okay guys, does anybody have any questions possibly for Saphira? Maybe not. That's totally cool either way. Cool. Okay, so yeah, thanks. I feel like I'm still saying it wrong. It's not Saphira. You said it somewhat. You said it different.
It's Sphira.
Sphira. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Awesome. Okay, and yeah, so thanks again, Sphira, aka Shani, and again, we'll post her links if anybody wants to get in touch with her. You know, maybe if there's people listening to this who happen to be in the Florida area, please feel free to you know, get in touch with her, get in touch with any of us, one way or another. Now, as it is, we can pass things over to someone else to introduce themselves, unless anybody else has anything that they want to jump in with.
I will. I just want to say this.
Go ahead, Michelle.
This is Michelle Infinity.
Hi, Michelle.
I'm really resonating with the beauty of like the like attracts like in the web, and we all find each other, and I think that's just so graceful, and so I just feel that. I just am like it's medicine to me because it's true, and I had that coincidence bring me to a friend actually in the Force and all of that, and so I just want to celebrate that. That's all. You know, without going into a whole story, just saying like, yeah, like we do, we're interwoven, and that lattice of the flower of life itself is a perfect description of the archetype of how that works with every soul and consciousness, and how we all find each other really through this like beautiful threaded web. And I was just talking about that this week, and the web goes in all directions, and it's just beautiful. So that's all. I just want to share like aho to that. Gratitude for it completely connecting us. So that's
That's awesome. Cool. And Michelle and Michael, like I know you guys don't officially know each other yet, but there's a common thread because both of you guys were like really good friends with Phoenix as well. So I just wanted to like put that out there. So and Michelle had actually like mentioned Phoenix like earlier in the Hangout before we even went to live broadcast. So
yeah, Michael, brother, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, awesome. I just drove through South Carolina, so I was thinking that when you were talking about South Carolina.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm on my way back from North Carolina, and I swear Phoenix and the web, and it's all working together, interweaving me to conscious brotherhood out there that we all know through this reincarnating together lifetime after lifetime. Like as soon as I met Skull and Breezy, it was like, oh, hello again, you know. And 3DL has been like a beautiful wave of that, like, and that reverberation still continues throughout, like since 2012. So Do you have anything to share about Phoenix, Michael, since that got brought up, that you would like to?
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I feel him always around me, guiding me. He's my screensaver. He's my lifesaver. Um, he actually, like, we crossed paths in Atlanta before he even started off on his journey. It was really interesting because I saw him, like, before he was that awakened person that a lot of other people got to meet later.
Mm.
And I remember sitting in a cafe, and it was right when I was also starting my journey. And I went to Atlanta to go to this big conference, spirituality conference, and he and I were like in this little coffee shop talking about what we thought the journey would look like, and it didn't turn out anything like we had talked about. It was so much bigger and so much grander. And I
Oh, I
remember
love that.
he came to South Carolina like right when he just left like Atlanta to go off to just
Bali.
travel. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it was actually he was going to New York to go work at the
Omega.
Omega. Yeah, and we stopped at this little cafe, and he was like showing me all these books he was reading, and we were like in the middle of this little place called the Earth Fair. It's like a little, divey little grocery store, and we were doing like healing sessions like right in the middle of the grocery store. It was like crazy intense. But it's nice to see that his work still carries on. Like his videos are still out there, and like I go to his blog every so often and just kind of retune into his writing and stuff. So it's beautiful to see other people still being inspired by his legacy.
Yeah, we keep that up. The ocgproject.com is, yeah, that's intentional. Um, yeah, that's good. And also, I just, I experienced totally throughout my life this like ritual coming back to the recognition that it's undeniable the continuation of life after death, and how we are continually like reminded of the sacredness of all things through the people who go before us and show us that path, and
Right.
remind us that there can be, I share a lesson that I got recently from it, that there, you said the bigger, that it can be so much bigger, that there's so much more. I think like I'm Michelle Infinity, right? Spirit is infinite, all of that. Like there is so much more. Like one of the things that I've learned this week is like we manifest these certain ideas, projections of what we think we can create in our lives, but like if we offer it up to spirit and we're like, just you show me, it's way better and way different and way bigger and way more unique and grander. And just if we can say yes to that, it's like then miracles can occur. But sometimes we want things to be in our way, so can you say more to that, because I know you know what I'm speaking about.
Yeah. Well, it is like we are so much more limitless than we think we are, and we can only see things through our current perception. So, and that's limited because we have conditioning, we have complexes, we have these things that sometimes cloud us. Even though we are waking up, we can only still see what we can see. But once we really just start putting feet to pavement and just start moving forward, we start to really expand into that limitless space. And in my, magical tradition, we have this saying that God is self, self is God, and God is a person like myself. And it really speaks to our own sense of godhood, because we are the creators living the creator's experience. So we are limitless. And if we allow ourselves to be those specks of stardust, that sacrificed themselves so that we could be here right now having this call, we become infinite. And like we have another saying in our tradition that what is remembered lives. So doing this and honoring those people like Phoenix who are now across the veil, still affecting how we are, being inspired and moving and inspiring others. And it shows how interconnected it all really is. It shows how limitless we are. So I think it's just wonderful.
I love the interconnectedness of all things. That's like one of my favorite things in the world, is the pleasure of it, that makes me feel at home. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's nice to just like listen to you guys talk, and I mean both of you are well spoken, and yeah, like even just like being able to take a moment to reflect and think about Phoenix and stuff. As a context for people who are listening, Michael said it, and I'll just reiterate. But Phoenix is a good friend of ours who passed in 2014, 2014, I think, in October. And yeah, but like he had a very very like strong presence to his spirit, and a lot of people, myself included, like like use him as an example of like how there still is that presence of spirit from the other side. And again, even to think like the other side like isn't literally like over there. Like the other side is still like right here. It's just like weaved
Interlaced
within
on top
it,
of us.
interlaced
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Yeah, you have to look through like with the different fields, but it's multiple dimensions in one occupied space, just on different frequencies. So yeah, like it's very I have had some like really potent dreams where yeah, like Phoenix like passed on messages, and it's nice. It's nice to like be able to have those experiences as a way to be able to say like like wow, this story is bigger than just us physical like mortal humans here. Like the human experience goes beyond the physical dimension in multiple ways, and not even just death, but also within dreams and everything as well. And again, like just hitting upon it real quick, like that's the thing that I'm really interested in, and I'm sure Shaney's interested in it too. The idea that the dream space and the space that you go to once you've passed on is technically like two different versions of it's one and the same. It's really just like two different ways of looking in on the same space, like the astral realms, or call it what you will. So yeah, for me that just opens up a whole lot of really amazing things. And yeah, shout out to Phoenix for yeah still teaching us. And I mean that's crazy to think like what awaits us, like what will our, because that's like even when you think about soul contracts, are soul contracts like something that actually continue beyond just like the mortal, again, like the physical existence. Like we talk about that, like within this incarnation I'm going to try and like accomplish this, and you create like a list, and then it's going to say like, and after I die I'm going to try and do this, and I'm going to try and do this, and I'm going to try and do this, like it's just kind of interesting to think about that, how we are still and again, like how we're still involved like after we die. And again, I think for some people, and I'm sure other people have examples of this, but sometimes a person can be like of more use to the community, like of more impact through their passing. Maybe their passing in itself could be like a story that sparks people, maybe within like their final moments they'll show, they'll shine a light that like emanates courage and bravery, and other people will see that. And just in the idea that sorry, I sort of lost my train of thought there, but yeah, like it's just a really fascinating idea, just like the idea of like how spirit exists on multiple planes, and the team is, shout out to all the spirits who are with us. And yeah,
Oh my God, so much with the ancestors. But I just want to say,
ancestors, yeah.
yeah, with the ancestors, and it's a commitment to love. It's a commitment to love and upholding the truth of love and reverence. I was on a sacred property. I was at a retreat center in North Carolina, singing to the river and the bamboo and the trees and the stones. And those of us who have been to North Carolina know, like, there's Cherokee land, there's a vibration of the land, and there's those of us who are in service to the land and service to the earth, who are earth keepers. And it's important for us to share our gratitude and our reverence to the earth in that way, and to do ceremony on the earth. And I do that through singing and sound healing, which I've mentioned tons of times. But I feel, to tie it into Phoenix, like the service work is so important, to recognize that when we are in service to a greater spectrum of light, to that web, to upholding the light, and anchoring it in onto the earth, which is this whole Christmas full moon thing, and the Christ consciousness, the golden threads that like interweave through everything. We do it through ceremony, we do it through prayer, we do it through 3 hugs on the street corner, bringing it to the city, right? And the buttons, and it's all like these are like materialistic representations of honoring life, and honoring life, whether it be in the astral or whether it be now, and just that reverence for all of it. So that was my spiel for Phoenix and the light and the earth. So that's it. Love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love you too, Michelle. Cool. All right. Well, unless Michael, was there anything else you want to add to that topic? And otherwise we'll just keep moving on to allow more people in to talk.
No, I think that's good. But it is the time of the year where we go into the dark season. This is the shadow time where things are darker, heavier, and it's important to remember those people that have paved the way for us, whether it be ancestors or the mighty dead, or those people who will come later. Just taking some time to honor the ancestors, the descendants, and the deities that inspire your work, because this is the perfect time to do it, because we're in celebration, but also everything's dying. So it's this beautiful upper and undercurrent that's running concurrently. So it's perfect time to tap into the magic of that. So do that. Do it now.
Oh.
Awesome. Cool. Sweet. Okay, so moving forward, just before we introduce another person, I just want to give a shout out to the people who are in the live chat right now of the main Paradigm Shift Central website. Those of you who are listening to this, again, if you're on ParadigmShiftCentral.com, in the bottom right, you'll see a big thing that says live chat. Just click that, and then it's easy to log into. You can log in with Facebook, super easy. And we got quite a few people in the live chat, so I just want to give a shout out to them. And yeah, thank you so much for being here, guys. And if there's anything you guys want to add in the live chat, if there's any ideas or comments, please feel free to do so, and we'll relay it in here, because you guys are a part of the conversation as well. So very cool. And if you guys do want to join the Hangout, you can still do that through the link within that same page that says click here to join. You don't need a video, but at least have audio, and you'll be able to sync up with that. So awesome. All right. So we'll just continue to move along. I know, Shani, are you still good? I just want to make sure you said you might be leaving soon, or?
Yeah, my daughter was supposed to be coming back a little bit earlier than I expected, but she hasn't gotten back yet. So.
Okay.
Good.
Cool. Party on. Okay. So Michelle was talking for a little bit there, and I know she's probably not in a rush, so I'll open up the talking stick to 3 of the other girls, 3 of the other females who we also have with us here tonight, and I'll let you guys sort of decide who wants to go first between Breezy, Ellie, and Kamala. Whoever just wants to jump right in on it.
I'll go. Hello, it's Ellie. How are you?
Awesome. Good. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. All right, Ellie. I think you know how to do the thing, so I'll just pass the talking stick to you. So.
Cool. Thank you. It's talking stick. So yeah, pretty much. I'm Elysian. I live in New York City, in Queens to be specific. The shift is very interesting from around here, just because. I don't know if it was me that didn't notice it until this year, or if it was more so things really started to pick up. Oh man, because the summer in New York, I don't know, I felt so many intense, amazing vibrations. It opened me up to a world of the limitlessness. I really understood it after this past coming summer. But the change over here, it's nice. I'm seeing a lot more yoga. I'm seeing a lot more meetups for meditation and I'm getting random invites from people that I really don't know. But I'm just meeting people in general, I was resonating as you guys were talking earlier, saying how you're in a place where you're not so comfortable, and all of a sudden you meet this person that has the understanding of flower of life, and it starts to make you feel at home again. And I appreciate that everybody's experiencing that. So but yeah, the change over here is cool. I'd like to think that I've always had some form of like consciousness in the way that uh, that I knew there was more to this, like to this to this mundane, like it's not always mundane, but I really do feel like compared to what we can't see, it's a mundane life. But I'm big with the dreams. I really can't control them, but I've been journaling for like almost I think over a year now. Uh, Interesting. I love when Shani was talking about her dreams and like the whole Star Wars scenario. It resonated completely with me because um, I don't know if anyone else is in the New York area, but right now it's a really crazy warm winter, and mm, sorry. And so for one, like I know that this is not supposed to be happening. It really feels weird, and once I think the warmth started happening like about 2 weeks ago, me and a few like my soul sister, like my really close friend, we noticed like our physically we started to feel like there's something wrong going on. And like I really started to like I didn't want to say panic, but I'm like, oh my God, like what's happening to mother, like what's happening to our earth, and what's happening to her, because the sky looked weird, the energy when you just walk outside was like way off. And my dreams were running rampant at one point about like a month ago, between 2 and 3 weeks ago, and they were just these crazy missions that I had to keep going on every night. Like I would meet a bunch of people and like I had to like show them something, and or there another night there would be like a monster terrorizing like Manhattan, and I was like, what's going on? Like it's usually I'm not dreaming about such intense and like vivid, super vivid, dreams. It was like every dream had like a meaning, and it was trying to tell me something, and at the same time I was trying to do something. Um, but yeah, pretty much. My journey that I've been focusing on is becoming a fully vegetarian and really trying to like preserve my health the best way I can. Because I noticed when people start to see that you're becoming that healthy individual and like really caring for yourself more, they start to reflect on themselves and see like, okay, something's not working in what I'm doing, and I should probably get to a place of healthiness. And then I think once you start to get more healthy, you start to open up to like, okay, what's going on with the rest of the world? what's all these products and bamboozled schemes that are telling you you're gonna live 100 years on a pill or something. So that's pretty much like my story. So
That's awesome. Whereabouts in New York are you?
I'm in Queens.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Right
Cool.
in Queens. Yep. Yeah, but
Remind
it's pretty chill around here. Uh-huh.
Well, I was just gonna say, remind me again what's your name on Facebook, just so I make sure I'm getting
Facebook,
the
it's Elysian, the same way it's spelled, Elysian, and then last name Cortez.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Awesome. So I'll find you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the just before we go on to more introductions, the topic of the weather right now, I think, is something that is like all on the back of our minds because it's a part of our reality. And me and my buddy like had a good talk about it last night, and like it's interesting because like again like I'm in London, Ontario, Canada, which is southern Ontario, not too much more north than New York, and again like it's very unusually warm. We've only had like one snowfall, and in the same way, like yeah, like there's a part of me where like without trying to over exaggerate, like I almost want to cry. Like I almost want to
Yes. Oh my God,
be on
yes.
my knees and like have my hands on the dirt and just be like feeling like what's
Mm-hmm.
happening because it's almost it's at the point where like it's maybe like a few years ago, it was just like, yeah, whatever, like nothing's like it may or may not be real, but like now that it's suddenly in front of us, and again, assuming it's not just like coincidence in the mundane sense, there's something that's happening here, but in the same way how again, like in the same way how like I said, it makes me feel it. That can also be used as like motivation for being able to want to be able to like help shift things even more so to be able to really like shine the light even brighter. Like because now like it's becoming more real. Just
It's
like how
so super
much
real.
yeah, how much like the shift is needed, and I use the term needed sort of loosely, is a part of the process at this point, and I think it's good that we can emotionally connect to the earth. But yeah, I just want to be able to put that topic open up to you guys. Like, how is this weather right now? Like, how do you see it in terms of reflection of the global shift? You know, like the actual seeing the Earth as like an organism, as a body, and how do you guys sort of, what does it mean to you? What are you getting out of it? How is it affecting your reality? I think a couple of you had some points on that earlier. I don't, Michelle, if I know you got something earlier, if you're not too busy, or
I mean,
or
Well,
I
Ellie, go
was
ahead.
we sent out a lot of Reiki to the earth as
Okay,
it's going
we'll
through.
let sorry. Okay, go ahead, Kamala. We'll let you talk. So go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely sent out a lot of Reiki to the earth because I see there's a lot of the changes going on beyond the weather. And also I work a lot with animals. So the animals are also confused with the change in weather patterns, and you can certainly see that even with, little squirrels and birds. And, I don't think it's the normal way of adapting. It's a quick adaptation that you can see that even um, the humans in the day-to-day level can't adapt as quickly, but neither can the animals. So I'm just putting out a lot of healing energy, and I've seen many, many people requesting healing, becoming really sick, whether it's because they can't adapt to the change of vibrational energies, or the weather has shifted so much that there's bacteria, infections, nobody knows what to do. So I think the best thing I can do besides, singing and, sending out positive tones and such like that, just work with a lot of healing, and we can hope that we can change in the positive that way, to give back to the earth and participate.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's good, and thank you for doing that. You know, and that kind of leads into a question that I was going to ask, but I'll just pass it over to Michelle as well, and Kamala, if there's anything else you want to add on this. But again, like with this idea of, whether we're using the term global warming or not, like something doesn't feel right, and in the same way, like things are shifting, it's becoming like more noticeable. But the question is, what does this call us to do? What can we do about it? And again, you're saying, like putting like Reiki healing on the earth and stuff. I'd just be curious, like brainstorming wise, like how much should this be, something that we're putting our focus towards? How much should this be something that's like governing our emotions and also our motivation? Again, like what can we do about this? Like, this broadcast is like part of documenting the ongoing shift, and this is part of the ongoing shift, and just being able to brainstorm, like being able to see again, problems as solutions. The within the problem lies the solution, because it like shows us what we don't want and leads us to asking questions of how do we, move towards what it is that we do want. So, yeah, if anybody wants to open up, go ahead. Michelle, go ahead.
So my intuition, again, I live in Florida, so my weather barometer of this change of seasons is probably not what the people who are tuned in who live into Canada and such. But I'll say that my perspective from this, I think it just, I don't know, I don't feel the paralysis or the paranoia about the global war. I feel like it's shifted energetically. I feel like it's not happening now, but I've been in Florida again in winters in December where it's like hot at the end of the year, and then like March and February are like freezing cold. So I think we forget sometimes in our sensitivity that sometimes things just, it's a dance, and sometimes energies just move and shift, and there are seasons. Like sometimes we're in rhythms. I notice all these patterns of energy, like there's like April and September, there's usually like a correlation between the energy that happens there in the fall and the energy that happens in the spring. So sometimes the weather patterns can move as well. So I'm not alarmed personally in my soul. I don't feel that, but I'm not saying that the people who are tuned to that, who experience winter and can sense like animal communication. I know people who talk to trees, like, you know, so I think there's validity to everything. And obviously we know that the earth is polluted and we need to definitely care for her. But for my personal like connection and sovereignty, like I haven't been alerted that there's like a crisis more so than there is just a healing crisis for the earth. So I'm not, my heart's okay. And I just think that there's a shift that happened, you know? So I don't know if anybody else feels what I feel, but that's my opinion. That's my 2 cents on the matter.
Yeah, and I think that is a good point. You know, like we don't want to freak ourselves out over this, and also being able to see this as like a part of the cycle that the Earth is going through the process of healing itself. Within Canada, I will just say, you know, like what makes it a little bit more real is the fact that like more so the animals, again, you know, like seeing how it's affecting the animals is kind of, it pulls at your heartstrings, and especially like with here, like the squirrels here are very confused, you know, like they're like, am I supposed to be getting more nuts? Like, I'll just keep getting nuts, I guess, you know, and like all of them are just becoming like way overweight and stuff like that. So I mean, like that can't be good for them. So I mean, like that's just like one noticeable thing as to like how it is like impacting and stuff. But again, I'll just sort of say, you know, like in terms of like the, you know, whether we're using the term global warming or otherwise, part of the solution is for people to be able to have their eyes open enough to see the benefits of choosing environmentally sustainable choices for the future. So I mean, in terms of how we can help with the shift, it really is sort of like this chain effect, like this chain reaction sort of thing, where like we can't like straight up just like force people to like drive a cleaner car or to not drive a car at all, or to, you know, to like stop like making so much garbage and to like use like more productive means of resources and stuff like that. Like rather than that though, like the way how to enable that choice within themselves is to just like encourage them to like be more open-minded, more conscious by presenting them with themes, by like being heart-centered and leading by example, and then like just allowing them to sort of step into that own place through osmosis, and then I think like the realization that like conscious environmental choices are a good thing worth doing will come like second nature to them. So I mean, it's one of those things where it may be it's something that we have to like plan long term with, in terms of like how we're going to be able to shift this, you know, like to try and fix it by next week, maybe not so much, but a generation from now we can totally do that. You know, we can definitely do that by setting new patterns right now and by living those patterns right now, and again, like moving forward with integrity. And yeah, just I think for me, like that's kind of part of the solution. But again, whatever you guys think.
I just want to say that prayer, like the global meditation that you did, and doing ritual around these themes of, like, we'll see how this season turns out, right, and transpires, and if it is something that we should create like a conscious community effort around, I think prayer really does change things in the physical world and setting intentions, and I think that's some of the most conscious things that we can do is just to do ceremony and prayer and ritual around that, and then from there the physical matter will change based on that. So yes, definitely buying clean products, but also just using our energy, our energy forces as well.
Yeah, and again, you know, just anybody else have some insight on that? Like that is a good thing to sort of brainstorm. Again, you know, like as part of our superpowers, we keep talking about this idea that thoughts create. So again, you know, like if we are doing that, if we are projecting our intention towards being able to like heal the waters, is that going to affect things? You know, and some people just say like, you know, that's complete bullshit. Like, why even bother? But it's one of those things where like until you try, how do you know? And does it hurt to try, you know, like, so, and at the same time it can connect you with the elements as well. So I mean, like doing group meditations or even just doing a personal meditation down by the water could be a way for, again, you to actually like make a difference in that material existence theoretically, but at the same time, more so than anything, it will also like connect you more intuitively like with that bigger part of yourself, which is the nature, which is the environment. So I mean, yeah, like what are some of our tools? Like, yeah, like things like more global meditations, because I remember like that was a big thing that people were doing, you know, like meditating on water and stuff like that. And again, you know, like it's one of those things where like it's really kind of it's hard to like sort of just say like, oh, it's definitely working, but I, like there is a part of it that is like, you know, quite real. But yeah, like it's just like it's kind of more than one thing at once. But again, whatever you guys think, like, you know, like how real is something like quote unquote prayer for like being able to like help assist with like the environmental process that the world is going through. And then we'll just do that, and then we'll move on to some more introductions from whoever.
I feel like prayer is like a super big influence, just because it's like the law of attraction, you know. Like I personally I attach almost everything with law of attraction. Like what you give out is what you will receive, and especially if you're putting out pure intentions for the sole purpose and goodness of Earth, like how can that go wrong? Like where is the flaw in trying to better something? I mean, you can find some, of course, because there's duality and everything, but nonetheless, it's those pure intentions that you're like sending out, like those frequencies of love. I don't see how like that can, you know, do any harm, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have some comments on that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think prayer is effective, but we have to remember, like Thich Nhat Hanh says, pray with our feet. I think sometimes we get so caught in the idea that these things just happen on their own, but if we're receiving the inspiration to take action, then we have to find the courage to take those first initial steps. And it may start with prayer, but then it may be actually getting out in our communities and affecting change. I remember, you know, I'm like part of the old school activist movement where we would go out and actually do direct action kind of things. So I think it's important to get out in the community and join groups where things are shifting and moving, so you can actually see the impact of those actions. Because sometimes prayer becomes a solitary act, and it's hard for us to see sometimes the outcomes of our prayers. But when you are part of an action, like I was at Whole Foods not too long ago, and there was this activist group, animal rights activists coming through, and they were protesting something that Whole Foods was doing wrong. And once they left, you could see the impact because everybody was talking about it. And everyone was having a conversation about what they just witnessed. And they were there for maybe 10 minutes. And for the next 45 minutes that I was there, people were having conversations about it. And when you can see that, you can see the direct outcome of that thing that you are doing. It'll inspire you to continue doing more. But sometimes we get caught in prayer being the only action we take. So let it be an action, but, you know, pray with your feet also. Get out into the world and let your actions also be a prayer. And that's all I have on that.
Yeah.
Let your life be a prayer. That's very important as well.
Yeah, and again, you know, like even just the term prayer, it's interesting to see how that word is sort of shifting as well, because, you know, I think for people who are listening to this and otherwise, prayer, or at least for myself, I will say, like, kind of just is another way of saying, like, directed intention, you know, directed focus. And again, you know, like where your focus goes, energy flows, sort of thing. So, and even if that prayer is just like a way for you to align yourself, like with either, again, like a connection with the earth or a connection with what your steps will be, sort of thing. Like that's, you know, that's something that I've done before. Like if I'm going into like a big some sort of journalism story that I'm doing, or if there's like a free hugs event that I'm doing, I'll take the time to like meditate beforehand to sort of like set that prayer, that intention as I sort of go into it. It's kind of like a pre-game way to just sort of like get my head in the zone, sort of like, you know, like sort of like as if it was like going into a sporting event or something like that. There's one other point I was going to make. Somebody else has their mic open, I think, or somebody else wants to jump in. Feel free. Maybe not. Okay. Looks like I'm not sure if Brianna left, but we'll see. One other idea that I just want to mention, and then again we'll pass the talking stick around, and we do have another person in here, Headhunter. Headhunter, are you? Do you have a mic open? If you just want to test your mic, go ahead. Maybe they have a mic. Maybe not. Okay, that's cool. All right. One thing I was just going to say, and I just kind of wanted to say this to like bounce ideas off of you, in terms of. Oh, and I do have some comments in the live chat. Let me just reiterate something that Sarah was saying in the live chat. She's saying that she's saying that like this weather is being caused by like El Nino, and again like El Nino is like one of the is it the warm air front or the cold air front, but like that is like part of like the air temperatures like coming up from like the southern hemisphere, I believe, and like that is something that obviously is going to affect our weather. And then she's saying that like not that global warming isn't a thing, but like what we are experiencing is a natural quote unquote part of the actual like environmental processes that has been going on for quite some time. So I mean, yeah.
I love that. I haven't heard the words El Nino. El Nino is like a really popular thing in
grade 5.
For this.
I did a project
I
on.
love hearing that. Yeah, it's just wonderful. Wonderful. Gratitude for mentioning El Nino.
Yeah, shout out to El Nino and La Nina. See, that's one of them's warm, one of them's a cold. So male and female of like the currents. Okay, one thing I was just gonna say, I want to bounce this idea off you guys. There's the idea that there's more than one timeline. Within like this reality, there literally is more than one timeline, and what timeline we are in is determined by what timeline we align our vibration to. So I think like is that a way to look into this futuristic aspect of the world? Do we actually is part of it not so much about trying to literally change the entire world, but also to like change our own vibration to align with the version of the world that we wish to be a part of, if that makes sense. Like it's this idea that maybe there's like another timeline where like 2012 or 2013 like crazy stuff went down, but we didn't experience it. A part of us did, but our conscious mind is in the reality where we've continued further. And since we got past those like theoretical, like roadblocks or forks or catastrophes or whatever, does that mean that like we're always going to have the opportunity to like pull ourselves up out of the ditch in that sense, by being conscious of the fact that we are aligning ourselves personally to that particular timeline? And again, the fact that like all of us are here, does that mean that all of us have aligned ourselves with this timeline? And what timeline do we want to, what branch do we want to sort of align ourselves with next, is a part of the thought process in that. But what do you guys think about that, just as a thought exercise? Does that make sense, or how would you make sense of that?
Yes.
Was that?
Yes, that's Michelle.
Yes.
I fully
ahead,
yes,
Michelle.
yes. It's cool. Still, it's cool. These conscious conversations are really cool for me because, and I was just saying this to my friend in North Carolina. It's like beautiful to talk with other spiritually minded people because you guys think in the same process that I do, which I, question my thoughts a lot. Where I'm like, is this just me crazy being like? But it's true. Depending on the choices that I make, and when you talk to your mom or your parents, like they don't quite get it because in because time for them, their timeline is completely different. And like you'll see, and I sound even sad when I say it, but there's a sincere, it's amazing to talk to people who have like a more limited view, where we talk about the limitless view, that those of us who are hip to the fact that if I make a higher or lower vibrational decision, I can see the different webs or realities that my choices make. And that's something that's been really dear to me over the last, I want to say, year or so, where I've been more tuned into the, let's say, the consequence of my actions, but it's really like making choices and being like completely aware of, let's say, repercussions for, but I understand it's not, let's say, it's not detrimental, but at the same time it is, because you're creating your reality. So let's open the conversation up and talk about that, because that's like, it's important to, to who else thinks on that line or wave or.
If anybody else wants to jump in, go ahead.
Well, wait. Well, what specific ways? What wave?
Who is aware that their decisions, are tuned to different vibrations, and depending on what road you choose, like a choose your own adventure book, to make it like a general metaphor, that you can create different ways of consciousness and reality.
Yeah, that's totally that's like something I try to remember every day, because like if you're in a specific like mood, or in a specific like frequency, like if you're at like a really low frequency, like like maybe you stubbed your toe in the morning, and then you're like, oh, I my breakfast sucked, and then you kind of just, if you're not aware of the the frequency that you're like kind of vibrating at, you're just going to stay at that, and especially if it's not a very productive and helpful, very lightening feeling, it's not going to get you to where you want to be, and then you kind of get stuck in a rut. So I try to remember that. Totally try. But anybody else maybe?
Yeah, if anybody else wants to add in their thoughts.
Well, I definitely think that there's a number of timelines that could be possible. I know for myself, what I'm most interested in is whatever timeline I can work with, where more sentient beings are going to live and survive and thrive. Not so much what I personally can do to change in my sphere, but helping humanity survive. Because there's a lot of fear out in the world, and as we are going through these changes, I see often, even at work, the people I'm encountering, and as you were saying, even animals, you can see they're confused. I sense it, I feel it. So I'm interested in whatever timeline that I can move with and help flow with and add to, that's going to help humanity survive and thrive, whatever it's going to be. Even if it's not my own personal choice of timeline, because I love futuristic aspects, but I would like to see humanity thrive. So whatever is going to get us there, I want to be a part of that. What that's going to be, I'm really not sure yet.
Yeah, and again, I think the fact that we're in this reality, and the fact that we sort of do have these intentions of being able to help see the world shift and grow and evolve. Again, I think everything is happening for a reason. And again, like this weather that we're experiencing, this shift in the globe, if it is a thing, if it's something that we're observing, I think that's a very important part of this process, because it is like giving people that place to discuss these topics, and to be able to influence like minds on a larger scale, because the topics are so relevant, and especially when you get like people speaking out who already have a recognized voice. An example of this is the other day I saw a post put up by Arnold Schwarzenegger. It like went viral. Any of his posts usually go viral, but this one in particular, because he was talking about like smart environmental technology, and how that should be definitely like the intelligent thing for us to be able to pursue. And he even just said, like, people think that like cars aren't a big deal or whatever or anything like that. And then he said, you know, imagine a scenario where you have two rooms. In one room there's like a regular gas guzzling car. In another room there's an electric car. You have to choose to go into one room, and the room's going to be completely sealed, no windows, and there's no air to like get in or get out, and you have to stay in that room for like X number of hours, and both of the cars are going to be running while you're in there. Which room do you want to go in? So I mean, the obvious answer that most people would choose would be, you know, like the electrical one, you know, because it's healthy. Like it would make sense. I don't want to die, you know, suddenly your life is on the line. So like I think again, like when we are put in these situations where we realize that like, holy crap, you know, things are on the line here, it really slaps us into smartening up. And I think again, like that is like the earth sort of like teaching us to say like, hey, you know, like you value what you have before it's gone, sort of thing. And this is like us like really being able to be humbled through the experience that we're going through. In the same way, you know, like what's happening on the globe could be comparable to like a micro lesson that happens to us on a regular in our lives, and that could humble us in that sense. So I mean, just kind of going, or does anybody have any comments on that? There's just one other thing I was going to mention from the live chat, but if anybody had any comments. Go ahead, somebody, maybe? No? Okay. Sarah, she was in the live chat in a part of Paradigm Shift London, woot woot. She is stating the obvious, how, you know, like trees. Trees are a huge part of the solution to this. You know, like trees are, you know, advanced technological, like advanced biological machines that literally like convert like gases into oxygen, sort of thing. And as we cut them down, like that's where we're seeing a lot of our problems, because again, it's a domino effect. It's a chain reaction. How like you take out the trees one place, it changes the structure of the land, which changes the ecosystem, and then it like removes the land of resources, and that affects the weather, and that is like part of what we're seeing. So I mean, part of the solution in terms of like how we can actually help things, if like, you know, one way or another, if a bunch of us start planting trees or something like that, if we want to get like really tangible, and again, you know, if we want to pray with our feet, one of the ways how we can do that would be to plant trees. And again, like it's kind of it can be daunting in its scale, I think, in terms of just like the idea of like, oh, you know, like it's like one tree, like how will that make a difference? Or I'm just one person, how will that make a difference? But again, like I think it's being able to see each of us as like an organism, as a cell within a bigger organism, and being able to really honor and respect what it is that we are a part of, and to be able to use the momentum of the collective as part of our inspiration. So to know that, you know, if more of us are working towards these intentions, then we're going to have a bigger impact. It's seeing each other as the extended limbs of ourselves, I think is kind of like one way to think of it. So, you know, really communicating and strategizing amongst ourselves as one consciousness. You know, we sort of we talk about that idea as like a concept, but it actually becomes something quite practical and tangible when it comes to accomplishing objectives and moving forward with collective momentum. And even again, you know, like that's like where the Paradigm Shift Centrals really sort of get a lot of their heart from, is the idea that, you know, through the idea that if people see this project and they see, wow, you know, there's a lot of people who are doing this, there's several paradigm shift communities, it will help inspire that person to be like, you know, like I want to be a part of that momentum, I want to ride that wave. And so as a collective, let's create those waves. You know, like we can do that. We have that potential. We are moving past the idea of us like being stuck in our isolated bubbles. Like now our bubbles are merging, and as they do, we're actually stepping into more of how real, like the idea of seeing us as like collective organisms actually has the potential to be able to change that world. So, you know, like the communities in multiple levels, like small groups, towns, communities, cities, the globe, really just sort of like seeing things in that like sort of fractal level in terms of groups and communities and impact. But yeah, just passing the talking stick around. Any other thoughts on that? And we'll move on to just some other introductions in a minute as well.
I don't know if we have more people that want to speak with the introduction, but you mentioned moving from the heart or the third eye to the heart in 2016 at the beginning of the episode, and I was curious to talk about that, to listen to how that was, because you just kind of hit on it again with seeing people as your brother. I think that would be a good, before we wrap up, to make sure that was, cool.
Yeah, because that totally, that is when me and my friend, we were just talking last night, and he's, really, really conscious individual, much like ourselves here, and just a cool dude all around. But he was saying, just to paraphrase for those who didn't hear earlier, I was talking about a new video that I'd like to be able to produce for the New Year's, and it would be called like New Year's Evolution Challenge. So opposed to just a New Year's resolution challenge, New Year's evolution challenge. And the simple challenge would be to challenge people to move more into their heart, to feel more, in that sense. So I mean, like, again, I think that is one of those that is like the core of how we sort of like shift things in that domino effect, because it's like within the heart that we can see and feel and actually have that connection become a palpable experience, and that becomes again like our motivation for being able to just move towards more compassion and move towards more like open-heartedness, which can lead to just being able to be more open and more empathetic, more connected with the earth, with each other, and with also being able to just like want to do our part within this bigger story sort of thing. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear like what you guys think. Like what are the benefits of us feeling more? How can that change the world? How can that affect the domino effect?
It's that like, and I will give somebody else the chance to talk, but I want to say it's that living the prayer. It's like being a prayer. It's being an open-hearted person is how we create peace on earth, and that is praying with our feet, our heart, our hands. We are able to look at other people like our brother, which I think that I know that we don't do enough in the world. We compete over resources. I mean, just on a global scale, hence the whole global warming is, I mean, like that, it ties in perfectly of how, as opposed to creating a society where everything's a circle and like there's nobody who's like bigger or less than, we all have our thing to contribute, right? We're all in a circle, we're all equal, and everybody has their part to play, their role to play in a society. And I think that is the healing of the earth, if we could bring that back, that consciousness back. So, but I want somebody else to answer the feel more. What is the benefit of feeling more? Because I don't think we give ourselves permission to feel fully. Like, I think feeling for a lot of us is a very scary thing. I'm reminded of Brené Brown's work on vulnerability, and like, yeah, so I'll let somebody else talk, but yeah, jumping out of your skin, a lot for really feeling viscerally, I think. Yeah, doesn't happen enough.
So yeah, if anybody just wants to jump in on that, go ahead. And at this point, it's Shani had to go, and so it's myself, Michelle, Michael's still here, Kamala, and Ellie, and I don't think Headhunter's mic is working yet. I'm not entirely sure, but Ellie, Kamala, or Michael, do you guys just practice?
Yeah, I'll talk on that a bit. Because
okay,
then I have
Michael
to go.
Okay, all right, that's totally cool.
Yeah, so I think, a lot of people are moving into the causing a lot of, shifting both positive and negative. And I think, it's important when we talk about feeling not to be afraid to feel all of our parts. We can't forget to also acknowledge the shadow and those parts of ourselves that we might not want to look at because they're part of you. Our addictions, our fears, our doubts, our judgments, our prejudices, those are all part of who we are. So when we talk about feeling, it means feeling and being with all of that, not resisting it, because in order for us to heal it, we have to be able to feel it first within ourselves. So until you are first, like, for instance, in order to, realize and understand systems of oppression and privilege, you first have to recognize your own systems of oppression and privilege, ones that you may not be consciously feeding into, but ones that are there, and ones that you are a participant of solely because of the color of your skin or where you are in the world. So until we can touch those parts of ourselves that bring up coming to the edge, and there's always fear at the edge, so we have to allow ourselves to experience some of that. Where are our edges? And what can we do to challenge ourselves at those edges to feel more? Because until we do, those systems that are around us can't change, because we haven't experienced them yet within ourselves. So it's hard for us to externalize and to really affect that deeper change in the world around us. So don't be afraid to feel what needs to be felt, all of it. Just because you have a shitty day doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you had a shitty day, and those days are going to happen. And like the example of stubbing your toe, like some days it's just going to suck, and that's okay too, because we're human and some days are going to suck. But the beauty is that we're all going to die, and I think that's important to remember, that it makes life more precious knowing that at some point this experience will cease to exist. So all of it, even those parts of us that are more visceral and more difficult to sit with, those are important too. I'm pretty sure on the deathbeds, and I've had this experience of seeing people on their deathbed, and it's not just the beautiful things they remember, it's also like all the times when they wish they would have went outside in the snow and complained less about the rain, and went outside and danced in it a bit more. So look at what you can do to just be more in touch with yourself, because it's important to feel and to empathize and to hold space for others, but you really can't do that fully unless you're holding full space for yourself first. So it goes back to that self-care, and realizing that you have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can do it for other people. But feel what needs to be felt, and don't belittle yourself or judge yourself for feeling things that might not seem positive, because those feelings aren't negative or positive. They're just feelings that need to be expressed and felt and touched. And one of the biggest problems we have now in our society is all this repressed guilt of grief. We're not taught how to grieve properly. There's a really great movie on, I think it's on Netflix still, but you can see it I think on YouTube also, called Grief Walker. And it talks about how we are grief phobic. We don't understand how to work with grief. And a lot of us have suppressed grief and a lot of suppressed emotions that we're holding in our bodies. And until we're able to touch those parts that need touching and love those parts that need loving, it's really hard to fully function in the world that's shifting around us. And there you go.
Aho, brother.
Aho. Michael, I'd love to just be able to just ask you one more quick question before you head out.
Yeah, sure.
There's just a comment from one of the people just on the chat side of things, and they were just talking about, like how feeling too much has actually like been a part of their reality. I'd just be curious, like is that something we have to be mindful of? Like is that a thing? Like, do some people literally, is feeling too much, like sort of, we have to find that balance, and for some people they already have that like open empathetic connection, but yeah, just how does feeling too much sort of play into this equation? Like, is that a good thing, a bad thing? How do we balance it?
So when I hear that, it's it's all subjective to that individual's reality, and since I don't know that person, I can't shine a specific spotlight on what they may be experiencing. But some of us are more sensitive, but what's often when I hear that, it's people who are becoming over-identified with their feelings, and they're clinging to the feelings instead of letting them be part of the tapestry. They're focusing on a single thread that's part of this whole infinite space. So they're choosing only to feel what's attached to this thread, and not realizing there are all these other things they can also choose to experience. And sometimes that's because of trauma. Sometimes that's because of repressed or unmanifested grief. It could be all kinds of things. So it's up to us to determine, what we are feeling and not being afraid to sit with it. Even if it feels like it's too much, a good practice to do is take it into a journal, because if it's in your head, it's going to always be too much. But getting with someone who you can dialogue with about what you are experiencing helps you to process it. Because until you begin to process it and do something with that energy, you will always feel too much, because you're carrying it all within you. And sometimes when you start reflecting in your journal or reflecting with a trusted, supporting friend who will mirror back to you the experience and who will hold you in that space, you begin to see that it may be just reactivity that you're holding on to, or it may be just one particular thread of emotion you're holding on to. And once you realize that, you begin to see you have more options, because like we talked about before, we're limitless. So we're not just this emotion. We're not just the suffering. We are the entirety of it. There is always going to be suffering. That's just part of the dance. But there's also joy, and there's also love, and there's also hope, and there's also compassion, and there's also laughter, and there's also sex, and there's also all these really beautiful, wonderful parts about being human. But too often we're conditioned into pinholing what we give our attention to, because media says we have to look here, we have to be a certain way. Social media confines us into very specific paradigms of compare and contrast. We get into the scroll of doom. We start to feel as if though our world is shrinking, even though we have the perception of expansion. So we begin to feel all this stuff that needs to go somewhere. So yeah, I think we can feel too much sometimes, but until we begin really looking at what that really means for ourselves, through the journal or through conscious dialogue, it's hard to do anything with it. That also can become a doorway. It's often said pain is a doorway. And that kind of pain can also be a doorway to take a look at what is it that you're actually feeling when you say you're feeling too much. And there you have it.
Cool. That's good. That's good. And no, thank you for sharing that, Michael. Awesome. All right. Yeah. Well, you mentioned you have to go. Was there any last message for people?
Yeah, just in that shift from mind to heart, let yourself, don't be so hard on yourselves. Because I think that's part of something we will experience in that shift, is it's not always easy to make the shift from here to here, from mind to heart, because it requires us to come in a deeper contact with the parts of ourselves that we're resisting. I love the word light worker, but I consider myself more of someone who works at dawn and dusk. I'm not a light worker or a dark worker. I am like a shadow worker. I live in the gray spaces, because if you really notice, we only, like, the most beautiful times of transition are dusk and dawn, with all the colors are present. We rarely notice the sun when it's out, and sometimes we notice the moon if it's like tomorrow, or like I think the full moon is right around the corner here on Christmas Day. Like, we notice that, but rarely do we ever really pay attention to the night sky. But dusk and dawn grabs us, so don't be afraid to sit in your dusk and dawn and your betwixt in between places, and get comfortable with being uncomfortable with yourself, because that's how you make the shift from mind to heart. It's not an easy transition. It's a tough one. It's a difficult one. But knowing yourself, that whole phrase above the temple of the Oracle of Adolphi is know thyself, and that's the spiritual journey. It's know thyself. That is the entirety of it. And until you are willing to do it all and look at it all and sit with it all, you're only doing half the work. So don't be afraid to go all the way. Just do it.
Awesome. Cool.
Perfect.
Wonderful. All right. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. It was really great to have you here, man. So, and again, for people who want to get in touch, run a search on Michael Brazel on Facebook, and then through there you'll find all his links. But I'll post the links into the show notes through the Paradigm Shift Central link for this Hangout as well. Cool.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Peace
man.
out, everybody.
Nice
Good
to
night.
meet you, Michael. Blessings.
Nice to meet you too. Find me on Facebook. Listen to the radio show.
Word,
Donate to
word.
Skull. Buy some buttons.
Nice meeting you.
Buy a t-shirt or two. Nice meeting you too. Namaste.
Awesome. All right, Michael. Talk to you later. Peace out. Cool. Okay, so with that said, we've been broadcasting for about 2 hours right now, and I'd like to be able to wrap this up maybe within the next like half hour-ish sort of thing, but we'll just sort of play it by feel. But we do have Michelle and Kamala who haven't technically done their introductions, which is usually how we do things here. We'll just like spend the entire episode getting through our introductions, but again, it's just like getting to know each other sort of thing, which is still important. And then we do have, I believe Jacob has finally gotten into the chat, and he's got that working. Is that correct? Jacob, did you just want to test your mic? If you want to just unmute yourself, go ahead.
Hello.
Hey, man.
How are you?
Good. Do you have headphones?
Yeah, I do. Do you need me to take them out?
Yeah, if you can find those, because those will cut back the echo. So cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna mute you for now, and we'll find some headphones, I'm sure. And yeah, let's we'll pass over to Kamala unless Michelle really wants to go first, but I think Michelle's patient enough, and we've heard from Michelle before. So yeah, we'll pass it to Kamala, and you can introduce yourself officially to the people listening, and again, just who you are, where you're from, what some of your interests or your superpowers are, and what the shift looks like where you are, and any ways that you're helping assist in the shift, locally or just otherwise, and anything else you want to share. So go ahead, Kamala. We'll pass the talk and stick to you.
Okay. Well, I'm a creative person. I'm a vocalist, musician, also Reiki master. So I put out a lot of my own visions through guided visualizations, spoken word, music, songs, poetry, any way that I can get the message across to kind of nudge people in a direction to help them actualize what they're looking for in life. As Michael was saying also, doing shadow work, not denying the parts of myself that aren't so white light, or just trying to experience everything that I can. What I'll outflow for people would be a lot of healing knowledge I've gathered about herbalism, how to take care of yourself physically, emotionally, making little tinctures, elixirs, offering tarot classes, offering Reiki classes, doing a lot of Reiki on animals because I love animals. I communicate really well with them. That's really important to me. Big dreamer. Okay, so I have a lot of activity in the dream realms, astral traveling. That's where a lot of the actual guided visualizations that I'll create with music and spoken word come from inspiration that I have in my dreams. So, again, if I can create something that will help people to think or feel or investigate, trying to use my own creativity to spark others so they can have their own journey. Over here, I'm on the East Coast, close to Boston. So we have a lot of yoga studios. There's an acupuncture community. We have a really great community acupuncture, low-cost acupuncture. Love it. It's really great. There's New Age shops. I read tarot out of a New Age shop and really enjoy doing that, meeting new people all the time. So we have a pretty good balance, even though it's a smaller community. It's starting to blossom a little bit, and hopefully people are starting to be much more open to the aspects that what's happening within themselves is not so different from what's happening out in the world, and they can see the connect. They can see that they can make a difference for themselves and for the people around them. So I'm really kind of happy with that. And anytime I can talk to someone about consciousness raising and shifting, I try to do that too. And that's what I'm doing. Using all those tools and trying to create something for change.
That's awesome. Did you, sorry, I don't know if I missed it, but did you say where you were located?
Close to Boston on the East Coast.
Cool, awesome. Cool. Okay. Well, yeah. Was there anything else? I think you covered all of it in your introduction there, so that was good. Was there anything else you want to add, though, or any particular topics you want to bring to the circle as we sort of move closer to wrapping it up?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to monopolize too much, but I do wonder myself, because I have an interest in technology. So I wonder about the balance between, will technology fit in for our future, and all of the big technological changes, because I'm big techie. How is that going to change how we live, how we approach the world? But that could be a really prolonged conversation. But yeah, I just wonder if others have an interest in technology and even the singularity as a concept, as I do, or if it's just something that people are just not willing to engage in conversation with, because there's a lot going on.
I think that would be a wiser topic for the beginning of a next episode, so we
Sure.
can go down that rabbit hole on a whole other trip.
Most definitely.
Maybe not at the end of one, but respect all of that. Yeah.
I do have there is one thing that I'll share. Let me just pull it up real quick.
Go for it.
Because it's really cool. Hold on, I just gotta see if it'll load. Just give me 2 seconds here. It's actually it's a quote that was sent to me yesterday, and it's a quote by Tesla. So here it is. Okay. When wireless is perfectly applied, the whole Earth will be converted into a huge brain, which in fact it is, all things being particles of a real and rhythmic whole. We shall be able to communicate with one another instantly, irrespective of distance. Not only this, but through television and telephone we shall see and hear one another as perfectly as though we were face to face, despite intervening distances of thousands of miles, and the instruments through which we shall be able to do this will be amazingly simple compared to with our present telephone. A man will be able to carry one in his vest pocket. And this was Nikola Tesla, 1926. So I think what I get out of that, and why I'm fascinated with technology, is through that immediate comparison of looking at the entire Earth as a brain, and to be able to just say how do we make it a better brain? How do we evolve this brain? How do we become more efficient at being able to communicate as neurons across this brain? So I mean, for me, that is where technology is incredibly beautiful, just in terms of how it's allowing us to be and express and connect as that collective conscious in that sense. Yeah, I think, just without getting too deep into it, media is our tool for being able to plant seeds in super epic, awesome ways, with our ability to create and with our ability to be ambassadors for a particular message. Because I think that is, in the same way an artist, even someone, one of the Renaissance artists and stuff like that, they would have talked about, how they had a message, from God, they would use that term. And their intention was to be able to express it through art, because rather than trying to individually go and sit down with each person and talk to them for an hour by themselves, they crystallize a single idea or a single theme or emotion or message into a piece of art. And so, like, that is why I think it's so incredibly amazing, because art and technology, like, literally, like, folds time in on itself. Like, it folds space and time in on itself. So I mean, like, obviously, like, that's like right up my alley, and I could probably talk more about that, but I'll just open the talking circle up for anything you guys want to add.
I don't know, man. That sounds pretty cool. I'd like to listen to you talk about art and technology and time. That's pretty good. You know the Universal Mind Lattice by. Oh wait, yeah, that's like your favorite painting, isn't it? I think we spoke about this before. The Universal Mind Lattice with Alex Gray, where the guy's meditating and everything's connected. It reminds me about trees. You know how trees are all interwoven and they communicate with each other. And so we as human beings are just creating like these plastic devices with radio waves that do the same thing that the natural, spirit, energy, and animals, they already do with each other. So we're just emulating what, God has already created. So.
Yeah, like, that's a super fascinating thing, and we can get more into it again a little bit later. But yeah, like, the idea that the technology is giving us is enabling our psychic abilities. We're enabling our psychic abilities through the use of technology. Like telephones, instant messaging. That's pretty much synonymous to like psychic abilities. But now we've put it in a form like external of us. So I think, if anything, the things that we have to be mindful with technology is to not allow ourselves to get pulled too much out of our own body with technology. We really want to be able to like maintain that balance of like still being like able to look inwards to activate the psychic abilities, opposed to relying on the technological aspects of it. Technology is, it's a blessing and a curse. It connects us, but it also disconnects us. It makes us efficient, but it also makes us lazy. So it's a tool, and how we use it is really the important thing. So that is like a question that I'm super fascinated about. Like, what are the conscious ways that we can use media to be able to help assist in the shift in consciousness? And state the obvious, like, this is one of them. Like, this message is a chance for us to be able to give a presentation to people, and for them to like be able to reflect on ideas, and for it to be heard by like hundreds of people. And again, those hundreds of people can carry that message even further. Each one of us, I like the idea of us being ambassadors for ideas, ambassadors for even virtues is maybe something that's even more powerful. Virtues being something that's like more integrated into our being, into our actions, opposed to just like an idea of virtue as something that's like enacted through our character. Yeah.
A way of being. I was just thinking the same thing with principles, like what our principles are and how we uphold those into the world. So that's a good place to end if you want to wrap
But we
it up.
haven't done your introduction yet, Michelle.
Oh, mine, and I'm like, all right, that was a perfect episode.
Next time, Michelle's introduction.
I love it. I've kind of been like peppering myself throughout this whole scene.
Yeah.
So, and I can say one thing, not so much about an introduction, but there was an answer to that question that got asked about, do we feel too much? Can I offer my introduction as like a small answer to the question? It was just the fact that, like, imagine so for all of those who are empaths and feel like you feel the weight of the world, that you feel so much of it, imagine that it's your choice, that you have power, that you are choosing everything that happens to you. And then from our co-creating this life, we can more be in power and be in top of it. So we're not like victims of the world. I think when I heard that question, I thought of I've been playing with that too, and there's like a victim consciousness that comes in with like, this life happens to me, but as opposed to we make choices, and it goes back to that video game mentality that you're playing with, is like this way of being where we're choosing our reality. So just think of that when you're feeling overwhelmed. Be like, and I choose this, and from here I go. I make decisions and I go forward on my path. So it's a way of empowering yourself instead of feeling like your life is happening to you. So that's it. So those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah,
So,
and
do you hear my echo? That's interesting.
no, I know. Jacob's got his mic open, but I was just about to pass it to him. Anyways, okay.
Cool.
Jacob, are you there?
Hey man, you said get a pair of headphones.
Yeah. Did you? You didn't find them yet, did you? Or did you?
Can you not hear me very well?
We can hear you. Yeah. And are they plugged in? Is that because I don't hear my echo anymore? So.
No, the thing is, I don't have any headphones that work like that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's okay as long as no one else is talking. Then it's okay. But have you? I was just going to either pass it over to you for the introduction, or to just give you a chance to introduce yourself, or if you just want to add into the conversation that we were just talking about here, if you were able to listen as well.
Sure, man.
Either way, just
Okay, then.
passing it over to you. Go ahead.
All right. My name is Jacob Corbin. I'm from Washington, United States, Eastern Washington. I go around a lot of places, but I'm mostly just stepping back into my Jedi boots, coming back to the Force. And kind of like what you were saying, do we ever feel too much? I think, or I'm always feeling too much. We always habits and stuff, But we all have those things inside of us that we're meant to find and tap into. That's where we stop thinking or feeling too much. Start.
Sorry, Jacob, your mic's a little bit choppy. Sorry, I'm not to interrupt you, but like it was good, and then it sort of went. I don't know if you just want to I don't know if you're positioned it differently or something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Like if you're closer to it, maybe that helps or something. So.
Turn it off.
Okay, just go ahead. I'm gonna mute myself. Just try talking again.
All right, so yeah, like we all have those things inside of us that we're meant to find and we're meant to embrace, and that's what can stop us from feeling like we're feeling too much and enable us to be able to experience our full potential and power, So I come from a small place. There's not a lot of shit to do here. It's just it's an overpopulated city in the middle of a desert, It's the eastern part of Washington. It's not the Evergreens. So it's really hard for me to do anything here. Everything is set in stone. So I really like to travel. And it reminded me of Double X. When we came to Seattle, I missed that. And I always wish you would come to tour in the U.S. because in one of your videos where you were training in your backyard, just kind of messing around, and your dogs were there, I think it was last year or a year ago, you were playing Double FX. That's how I found him. And his song, Light Me on Fire, I feel be inspirational to every person on this earth if they understood it. Because those verses are just genius. I mean, like, from the heartbeat, the beat mind to the bass line and the lion's roar, That, like, kind of just, like, fits into what we've been talking about perfectly. And how many hear this? What about the fearless men and women of this race, Anyways, I'll leave it at that. Thank you, man.
Cool, man. Yeah, like bringing up DubFX is I I vibe with that, and yeah, like that was a throwback to a really old video actually. I still have speaking of conscious media, like that's one of the things that I'm actually holding on to is the video interview that I actually have with DubFX that I just haven't released just yet because I've been kind of like waiting for the right platform to be able to do it off of, which is what we're building with the Paradigm Shift Central website right now. But yeah, man, no, like that's good. It's good to see you here, man. Like just being connected over the years. So thanks for joining us in the Hangouts, dude.
Thank you, man.
I mean, I'm not in a rush to end things, and we do actually have another shifter who has joined us in the Hangout, who's actually one of the local paradigm shifters in London, and my buddy Elliot. I'm just gonna mute you, Jacob, if that's okay. Elliot,
I'll be in there too.
Yeah, for sure, man. Okay, I'm just gonna make sure.
All right.
That's me. Cool. So Elliot, welcome to the Hangout, man. Good to see you. If you want to unmute yourself, go ahead and test your
What to
microphone.
do?
Hey,
Oh,
man.
I did it? Did I
That
do
works.
it? Am I good?
You
Check,
did it.
Mike.
You're doing it.
Oh my god.
Sound check, man. Welcome to the internet.
I conquered technology. How is everybody?
Good, man. Good. We've been connecting over here, making good use of the opportunity we got. So yeah, Michelle's totally not driving her car right now. That's it's supposed to be a secret. So yeah.
Nice.
But yeah. Elliot, we've talked a lot. We've talked a lot about oh my god, like we were talking about like even just like the weather changes and how that reflects on just like us being able to connect with the feelings of the Earth shift. We've talked about like just like being able to go into the shadows of things and how that makes us stronger. What else have we talked about? Quite a few things. But I'd love to just be able to pass over to you, man. And basically the way how we're doing this is you can just say who you are, what name you want to go by, where you're from. London, we know that already. Ontario, Canada. And just what you're doing to help assist in the shift in consciousness. And that can be like internal work and any like artwork or anything that you're working on, or anything really that you want to share.
Oh god.
With the group.
That's deep.
Is Hunter home?
All right. Well, no, I'm in Kingston.
You're in Kingston? Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I went home today. Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, you know, my name's Elliot or Lizard Brain or Lizzie B. I don't know. Like honestly, I made a pact with myself a couple of years ago, and I said I wanna see how far I can push my mind, and I definitely pushed it to its breaking point, and I reached some pretty deep places, but they really just allowed me to crack. And through all this darkness, I found a ton of light, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm here, and my art is to help people like me who have reached these pretty dark places find that light again and pull ourselves back into the love that is everywhere. Because there's concrete and then there's nature.
Cool, man. And you're do you want to talk like you do art and stuff? How do you try to change the world through art? Because we were talking about like the power of art and everything throughout this.
I think it's just the idea of just bringing light to this darkness, because there's so many shadows in this world, but shadows only exist in this world because we're not shining light on them. Once you shine a light on them, it's not a shadow anymore, is it? So it's the idea of conquering the matter on top of our heads, because we've been so lost inside our brains and these different parts of our brains that we've grown. We've lost so many of our like intuition, listening to our heart. We listen to these automatic thoughts and these voices, and I think it's the idea of getting out of that for me. I make a lot of hip-hop music as well, because music for me is probably what I value the most out of like society, and it's such a lasting impact and mechanism for people to experience different perspectives and avenues and outlooks of life and what can be. Yeah, I paint things sometimes. You know.
Yeah, man. Did you I'd totally love to open the mic for you if you want to like share some of any poetry or anything that you want me to.
I'll read something for you.
Yeah, go ahead, man, because we're gonna wrap up the broadcast soon enough, but this will be like a nice sort of like.
Let me find this thing that I found recently.
Okay, man.
I really enjoyed.
Cool. And
I saw Star Wars last night.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers.
We were talking about Star Wars a little bit earlier. Like, synchronicity of it and stuff.
Hey, I'm seeing it on Friday.
Nice. You gotta like watch it as like a meditation. Like that's like how I like to go into it. Like seriously, just like because there are parts in it, and this isn't spoiling it, but there are parts in it where like I felt like the cryingness of it. I didn't actually cry, but I was pretty close to crying actually. But like there were moments where I was just like. Like it like opened up my heart and stuff like that, and like some of it was like also like from joy and stuff, which is a really interesting thing in itself to think about. Just to sort of bring attention to this, you know, like the expressions of the human experience, how we cry when we're sad and we cry when we're happy. You know, like that's really interesting, because in both cases it's a reflection of like the heart opening. And Elliot, one thing, just to bring you up to speed, one thing we were talking about as like a New Year's evolution challenge is to encourage people to feel more. So I mean, I think like, again, like some people might like watch Star Wars and they would watch it and they wouldn't get like a single sensation in the heart chakra, but then a different person can watch it with a different intention and they can totally allow that experience to be like a healing, heart opening experience that can become like something with deeper meaning for them. So I mean, you know, whether it's Star Wars or anything, like I really encourage people to like go into things that they love as like a meditation. So even if you're listening to music, listen to it as a meditation. You know, like really allow yourself to invite yourself to open up to it, and in turn you'll actually begin to have those visceral experiences of like the chakras opening up, which, you know, the heart twangs or anywhere else that you might feel it based on what it is that you're interacting with. So but yeah, Elliot, just passing over to you, just if you have anything on that, and just segueing into your flow tree.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Sorry, I just wanted to say that, yeah, just like the idea of like engaging yourself fully into the experience that's at hand in front of your face is totally what it's about. Because we can live in like future destinations, but like the meditation is within the moment. And if you can like be viscerally engaged, that's what being present means, being viscerally engaged in something. Anyways, okay, it's called Sips on My Wine, because I was probably drunk when I wrote this, but it turned out really well. Yo, Lizzie B. My breath creates a gravity of its own, like the branches of the trees just spiraling into the unknown. I can see if I seek with new eyes, not these new lands. I wish I was home when I go to its opposite. Perspective creates my voice. I'll contradict at some point. I'm a thief of the now, while we're stealing the past and the future, painting my memories, but I can never remember, because this disconnect becomes from my disconnection of the roots, the growth, the core of the earth and myself. I was made by the mother, but I cursed the father. To the sky, further from the bottom, the ceiling of our perspective, birth from this revolution, yet we never change. Grow, grow, grow. How can we when all we breathe is this concrete? Let's correct this I to me and we's. We are but a soul surfing on invisible energy. We trick ourselves by traveling further from self. We are light. We are energy. Silver cords to the submerged imagination we no longer play with. Talking serious chatter, conversations to get me ahead, but to where? Further on this path around to another beginning of a cycle. Everything changes, so should we. Community without this camaraderie. Society is just sex, no rather lust, a taste we can't get enough of. Chasing the dragon, the shadow we illuminate, the light, the flint that became a fire, passion of eating seeds and growing into the being or anything we goddamn seek. Manifestations of reality, back to the truth, the dreams. What is truth but what I feel? What is that but thinking, connecting I with the body and the mind? Nothing is separate, all is one. Shape shifting, reshifting the separation can show, but seeing lays within the peace, the slowest of your heartbeat. It's meditation, relaxation to its fullest capacity. No maximum or ceiling, up, 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 and up we go. Is there anything new here? Well, let's find it. How have we not thought of it all? Different combinations? Do we even experiment closer to our spirituality, further from unconditional love? It is an idea unless implemented. Manifest life inside of our own skin. It's a vessel, so don't block it off. Build walls, turn them back to dust and then dirt, and become the flower you are in the center of something more beautiful than you'll ever see. Live and rise like that tree.
Oh, yeah, man.
Super dope. Super dope. Super dope.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Elliot's he's
I should have a mask on so you guys don't know it's actually me. That's just the ambiguous nature of what I want to be.
That's cool, man. Did just on the topic of your flow tree and stuff like that, with the creative process, like, when you're writing stuff like that, I'm just thinking of like how I do it. Do you try to like not stop yourself when you're writing? Like, because like some people, you know, they'll write something, you know, and be like, fuck, I need to find something that rhymes, you know, and then they just like stay on one sentence. But I hear what you're saying, and like I get that idea of like you just kind of you keep going sort of thing. Is that kind of what?
Well, it depends on like what I'm writing.
Yeah.
And like when I'm writing, but like the idea of it for me in general, just for art, is the fact of like it's not me creating it. I'm the vessel. I'm the conduit of this thing to be created. So it's you have to open yourself up You have to open up your chakras. You have to open up your mind to this energy and let it pour itself in. That uncollected universe, you got to collect it and put it and then out there. So yeah, like it depends. Like with things like that, it probably just like came out of me really quickly. Because a lot of times I don't feel like I'm writing things. I feel like somebody else is. But I mean, I was in the beat generation, so that's one thing. But yeah,
That's awesome.
it depends. Because I edit sometimes, but
Yeah,
I'll write first and edit later.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Write drunk, edit sober.
That's good though. But yeah, like I like that idea. The concept again, you know, as simple as it is, it's still new to some people. The idea of like us being conduits for ideas to come through. You know, like we're vessels, we're vehicles, and these ideas like they exist outside of our brain. Like our brain is a place where we can like store pattern recognition. But like sometimes when there's like new things coming through, they come through, they bounce around our pattern recognition, and then they come out through like our hands and our action. And that's like where like theoretically consciousness could take the same idea and put it into two different people, and they would come out differently based on the formula of their own pattern, like formulas of their brain and stuff like that. So yeah, like it's just like it's really cool because it's like that can sort of again expand beyond just art and even into the actions of what we're doing, you know. So like when we think about how are we helping shift consciousness, like you're literally sort of like enacting like the higher parts of consciousness, but really just like checking in with yourself to feel and to see, like, you know, like is this, because that's when you start to get into the idea of like is this like something higher coming through me that I'm listening to, or is this like more of like an ego thing that I'm like tricking myself into believing is like something different, or are they one and the same? I mean, it's kind of a perplexing topic, and maybe it's like something for another time. But yeah,
that's a lot of paradoxes.
Yeah. Cool. Does anybody else have any like poetry handy that they might want to share within the theme of Elliot sharing his poetry? Maybe, possibly. I don't think I got any of mine too handy right now, but I'll save for another day anyways. So.
Yeah, I'll save some poetry for another day.
That's cool.
Slam
That's cool.
some poetry.
Yeah, we'll have to maybe set up like a team meeting hangout that's like specifically poetry oriented, and we and even like work
that would
on
be
poetry,
awesome.
while we're
That'd be
hanging
awesome.
out. Yeah, I'd do like group poetry writing. What's that?
I would definitely share some poetry, spoken word in future. Yeah.
For sure. Awesome. Well, that's good. That will give the audience a hook and a reason to come back. So.
I love it.
Perfect. That's how it works. Cool, guys. Well, okay, moving into the final minutes of the broadcast, what I'd like to do, I'd like to be able to ask us each to take a moment here to reflect on intentions that we can create for ourselves, and then verbalize them, and then just like, yeah, like that's it. So let's take a moment here to like go into a little bit of meditation, and then we'll each take turns sharing our intentions. And again, like personal intentions for our journey sort of thing. So yeah, okay, so let's just go into like a quick meditation, and not like a deep meditation, but just kind of like connecting with our breath. Oh yeah, and I didn't talk about tea. I'll just say this real quick. One thing with tea, this is almost like a practical tip. You can use tea in a very magical way if you put an intention into your tea. So say for example, like you don't have tea just to drink it. You use tea as a mini ritual. So what you can do is you can have your tea, and then you can actually be like, okay, this tea for me represents calmness, or this tea for me represents creativity. And then every time that you sip that tea, every time, you know, you like bring it up and you like sip it, you're consciously like feeling and embodying that idea that like you're drinking creativity, you're drinking calmness sort of thing. And then you make it into like a mini magical ritual that can have some like way of sort of structuring your reality in that present moment for you. Anybody have any comments on that just before we go into the intention thing? Because I just thought that was kind of a cool idea. real life MMORPG.
Can I just tell you a story?
Yeah, go
It's
ahead.
on the same page. I had a light switch in one of my apartments that didn't turn on any lights, so I dubbed it the imagination switch. So anytime me and my friends want to have like a super esoteric conversation, or it was like an art session, we would turn on the imagination switch, and it's like the idea of placebos, right? Like,
Yeah.
our words have a life of their own. Like, they have energies. It's pretty gnarly what we can do with our minds and our breath and our words. What those manifest. It was fun. It's good times.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, intention setting and its power. So that's beautiful to do the physical switch. And
yeah, well, it's like it's known now that we can alter pieces of our DNA. Like, there's pieces of it that are concrete, but like there's things that we can change because our cells are just
almost malleable
little
to
data
thought.
boards.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
oh, it's totally stuff. Like, it's nuts. It's pretty crazy what we can do to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Like
better or
Jason Silva
worse,
said,
right?
we are in fact gods. Hey, that's what happened to me. Anyways,
I was just gonna.
I felt it hell, but I didn't know Robert Johnson, so I go ahead. I'm just spitting.
Hey man, if you want to spit, go for it. This is a place to do. Cool. Actually, just on the theme of art, Sarah in the live chat, who's been very active in the live chat, and shout out to her and everyone else in the live chat listening. She was basically just saying, because I was talking earlier about like even the ancient sculptures, like how they were sort of, or not even too long ago, how they were sort of like channeling the ideas and using art as a way to deliver a specific idea. But there's that idea of, like David was trapped inside the marble. Michelangelo just let him out. So like I really like that idea of like, like even and tying it with this idea that like a good artist, or one way of arting is to like you look at that marble and you're speaking to it, or you're listening to it, and you're hearing it tell you like what it is that's inside of it, and then you're just like like that's it, and then you like work slowly at like bringing that out, sort of thing, instead of just like, you almost have to think of things like in reverse chronological order, which I think is a very powerful thing to do within art, is to know that whatever art piece you're working on is actually already created. Like, it already exists, and then like you're pulling it in like from the future into the present to like reconstruct it back to the future, sort of thing. So it's like an infinity loop. But knowing that it already exists in the future gives you the confidence to create with whatever tools you have in the present. That's like something that goes hand in hand with like video editing. Like if I like film a bunch of stuff, I'll be like, all right, I know that this video is here, and then I just have to like solve all the puzzles to like bring it out in that sense. What do you guys think about that idea?
Yes. I like saying yes when you ask, like nobody says anything, and then yes.
Beep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually try to think in that way also, just because like we can, our memories are kind of like present moment. Like this moment is a memory, and then the next moment will be a memory, and then this moment, and it's so interesting how that works. But yeah, no, I try to do that too.
I can share something about my and it's probably the same thing that you do when you video edit intuitively. Like it's almost like you look. Well, this is like almost a secret I'm sharing. This is interesting. When I do art or graphic design or whatever I'm doing on the computer, I look to see if it looks familiar, and it's like bringing it back from the future, into the now present. But it's like you're fine tuning your creation to see if you almost like you recognize it, or if it's closer to like, home, closer to like your heart, closer. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, are you feeling what I'm putting down? Where you're
totally.
honing it?
Totally.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's how you intuitively guide your creations, right? You're just like
the signs.
Does that match it? Yeah, that feels familiar. And then like eventually you end up and it's deja vu, and you're finally like, this is exactly what I wanted it to look like, So yeah.
For me, when I'm doing video editing, a way that I actually use like intuitive, practical experience as a way to gauge my progress is if I'm like watching something back and I get like the spine tingling sensations, the energy activation sensations, as I sort of refer to them. Like that to me means that like, okay, like that's a part that is like succeeding in the video. Like it is activating a part of myself. Like, for a specific reason. So that's really cool. Like, yeah, like that activation sensation of the spine is like so super important, because like we can use that to like sort of like tell, like, you know, like when we're kind of like on the path kind of thing. And again, like some people will say that's actually like related to, again, not even just energy coming in and flowing, which is like a good thing in itself, but also like DNA upgrading or something like that. So like the more you can bring in that energy activation sensation, even if it's like Kundalini rising, if that's what it is, like whatever, but like finding places where you can like know how to activate that and then try to ride that wave is actually really interesting. Part of the like the meditations, the guided meditations that we do, are actually sort of designed for that, to be able to bring up that energy activation sensation. And I will just say as a reminder, for everybody listening to this who may have missed it, to definitely go back and check out the recording of the Jedi Global Activation Meditation. It was really good, and it's like it's like living a movie inside your mind, and it's like really exciting. So I definitely, and today, even though like I was obviously hosting it, but today I listened to it, and you know, I listened to it as if I like wasn't the person hosting it, so I was like hearing it for the first time kind of thing. And then I like got off the bus and just like sat down in a parking lot and like meditated for like a while listening to this. And as I was doing it, you know, I was getting the energy activation sensations of the spine. And then again, you know, like I was like using breath to like maintain them, to like ride them, to keep that energy like sensation flowing. Super interesting, I feel. What do you guys just on that again, just what we were just talking about though, that energy activation sensation, do you guys, well, what's your guys' relationship with that? I'd just be curious, and then we'll move into the intention thing.
Yeah,
you guys
it's
want to talk
definitely,
about it, I think.
yeah, it's for me. I really correlated to the chakra system. I think that it's like my energy body, like my pranic body, like speaking to me, or even my spirit guides, like telling me that to go in that direction, you know, to move more into that train of thought. Because sometimes, you know, or I'll get the opposite. I'll get little pings and saying like, no, not that train of thought, you know, like little. But again, I correlated to like the opening, and it was almost like you're expanding, like your energy body's expanding, and like you're a flower, you're blooming, right, to certain ideas, and then other ones you contract. And so I feel like a jellyfish now, like you ride through the waters of life like that, like an energetic current. The one thing that I wanted to say to what you just said was that it's so important that we continue that expansion, you know, to ride those waves and to be in the highest stream of consciousness, or at least that's what I'm praying for a lot, is to always like ride it, you know, keep riding it, because it tends to go up and down like waves.
Totally. Anybody else?
Goes up and down, so we know it's not flat.
Yeah. If it was just up, or if it was just down, then it would be stagnant in that sense, and technically it would be dead. So
Right.
theoretically, maybe, I don't know. It's a different way of thinking about that, but yeah. Anybody else have any comments on the energy activation sensation type things?
I was just, as you guys were speaking, I was just thinking, like, what I notice is I'll try to use my, like, 5 senses more intuitively than just, like, you know, just, like, going about your day with it. Like, if I'll be eating, like, an apple, I'll think, like, does this taste normal? Does it taste, like, is this, you know, how apples are supposed to taste? Or, you know, or, like, if you smell something funny, you're like, okay, what is this, like, what is this change in smelling? You know, just like noticing the small things within the senses, even though it's like, it's just...
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's good to be aware of, you know, like being able to just like develop our relationship with our senses and stuff. Listening with our entire body is a concept that I'm really interested in. Like literally thinking about, you know, we don't just hear with our ears, we don't just see with our eyes, like we don't just taste with our tongue. Like we literally do all of those with every single part of our body. So listen with your entire body, see with your entire body, sort of thing. You know, to me that's just like an interesting idea that can really get things moving. So cool.
When I was in acting school, it was just it was a really powerful experience for me to realize that there's a huge difference between listening to somebody and actually hearing somebody. You can listen to somebody and not retain any ounce of the information that they say to you, or you can actually hear what they're saying and engage in it and have that sink in. There's a huge difference between listening and hearing, which is just a neat thing. It's the same thing with seeing and looking.
Yeah, totally.
You can just look, or you can actually see something.
Yeah, like that's like even Carlos Castaneda talks about that. Like Don Juan, the sort of shaman character, he would use the term seeing. You know, like he would talk about, like he would be like, you see the tree, but you don't see the tree. You know, like one person would look at a tree and it'd be like the physical aspect. Another person would look at a tree and they would see like the energy expanding beyond it, the interconnectedness it has, like the home that it is for all the animals and everything like that. So yeah, like it's there's always like another story underneath the story that you're looking at. So being able to like see beyond like the initial aspects of things is pretty cool. And again, like that's kind of what the Force, that's kind of what Star Wars was talking about, you know, in some ways. So it's good to see that.
I think that I'm just beginning like to experiment with this is in stillness, when you are attuning to the subtle frequency of, like, the deeper we can listen, the more it's well, I'm sure, I think this is like a Ram Dass quote or something, like the deeper we listen, the more, or the quieter we become, the more we can hear. And that's what I'm feeling when I'm listening to you guys speak about listening. I've noticed that when you listen, you can tune into that highest vibration of what like the next almost train to jump on energetically is, and it's not something that you think about. It's like tuning into the
Okay, so Michelle just dropped. I'm sure her battery just died or whatever. But yeah, that's totally just tuning into things is super important. So that's awesome. Elliot, did you go ahead?
Something else. Yeah, I read a book recently. Well, awesome freaking book. But in it basically said if you break it down to our simplest form, all we are is just iron wrapped in a copper wire, and it's your choice to be grounded in what frequency you push out and what frequency you tune into, which is just pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
We came from the rust to make rust, to decay all this rust, to turn it back to dust, so we can become the flowers and burst.
We must.
Oh yeah.
I like that. I love the saying, like, be like a flower and flow. So many people think of the word flower and they miss the word flow in it. And then they don't think of flowering as flowing, as the verb flow. So, because flow is more than water. Flow is like the unfolding essences of life doing its thing, so to speak.
It's kind of cool because like I was in Vic Park. There's like right by like Dufferin entrance. There's like these lettuce heads that are all like this like super psychedelic like mandalas, because it goes from like dark purple to light purple to like dark green to light green to like white. Tripped me out, and I was just staring at them for like an hour one day, and it was just like the idea of like flow, like ride the waves or like flow with the waves. I was just like it works to me, but like the idea of like flowing like a mandala or unfolding like a mandala just makes way more sense to me, because there's infinite layers on each experience you're experiencing. You got to unfold all these things before you can go to the next one, and then it's just constantly unfolding all these things, and then we spiral.
Yeah, that's I like that idea, that opposed to saying, you know, like you're here and then you're moving over there or you're moving over there. Like the mandala idea is like you're in the exact center of where you are. You're always going to be exactly where you are, but then you're growing outwards from that center, and as you do, like it's constantly blossoming into new buds, and like new layers, the onion or otherwise, are emerging and unfolding. So I think that's kind of a cool way. So, and we are like, we are mandalas.
It's like sacred geometry too. Like it starts at a point, right? And like the idea for me, like of sacred geometry is like we'll start at a point, and then like it has an experience or like some sort of information happens, and it grows into a line, and then that happens, and then it stops at another point, and then it takes a break, and it takes a breath, and it goes, oh, that was what that was about, and then it shoots off in another direction, keeps doing that, and then it builds this beautiful image right at the end of it, which is what we are doing as human beings constantly, day by day by day.
I like what you said there in the chat. How you said silent and listen are the same letters. So
Yep.
that's not a coincidence, I would think. So that's cool. And then Jacob said, he said
So is race
even the race car, yeah.
That's nice.
Jacob said even the water spoke. And again, he's talking about being able to see things. So the water speaks. Listen to it. That's cool. Okay, guys. Well, I think we're about on schedule to move towards wrapping it up, and then we'll save some more things for another week. But definitely just taking a moment here to reflect on intentions, to verbalize. And again, part of the reason for doing this, for sharing our intentions as a practice, is also for accountability. A community is a really valuable thing in terms of accountability in that sense. Like it's one thing to just like say you're going to do something, but when you say it out loud and it's recorded, even if you're just documenting it in your own journal, it sort of like solidifies it a little bit differently into reality. So is that cool with you guys? You guys want to go through and we'll just like share some intentions, and then we'll wrap things up. So okay, so let's just go into like a quick sort of breathing, and we'll just sort of connect with what it is that we're feeling right now. Okay. So even for the people listening, use this as a chance to reflect on your own intentions as well. So just inviting you guys to relax. Maybe this entire time that you've been listening to this conversation, or that you've been a part of it, have you really taken like one deep, meaningful breath? Did that somehow like slip through your fingers? And if so, know that it's always in your palms. So let's take a nice, gentle inhale together. So inhales through the nose. And exhales through the nose or mouth. And again, gentle inhales. And gentle exhales. And really just listening to the silence in the breath, like between the inhale and the exhale. Listen to that moment of silence and just go as slow as you want with it. So just do another breath at your own pace. And so it's very interesting, I find, as doing that, because like when you're in that silence, what do you hear? What thoughts come into your mind? Like maybe people might sort of think like wow, like this is kind of weird, this is kind of funny, this is kind of stupid. Or you might just sort of hear like a slight whisper of love, like literally just like breathe, silence, love. Exhale. So what happens if you like bring that into every breath? How much is there that we're missing within the conversations between us and us? So just reflecting, moving forward on intentions. For myself, just a couple intentions. I'd like to have the intention of actively making myself available for family and friends. Obviously, with the holiday coming up, we sometimes need to be reminded of what is the meaning of Christmas. Some people, and I think this is a very important thing to think about, it's not so much about getting presents as much as it is about giving presents and giving gifts. And even when you think about the word presents, give someone your presence. give someone your time. And I think that is like what's really important. So as we get ready to move into the Christmas day, let us really have the intention of really being grateful for the family that we are with. Really being grateful for our parents. Maybe they might pinch our nerves sometimes, but even when they do that, that's helping us see parts of ourselves. It's helping us see things that we might be able to shift and dissolve, and helping us reveal subtle triggers that are very important. And so just bringing in that intention of really being grateful for the family that we have, the family and friends that we have the opportunity to spend time with, knowing that the experience is transient. And even for myself right now, just as like a personal reflection, one of my dogs, Shelby, the older German Shepherd, without trying to say that this is the case, but this very well could be his last Christmas with us, just because of the fact that he's getting older. So I mean, for me, like it's something where it's bittersweet, it's sad, but it's also happy, and I'm just so glad. I'm so grateful. Every day I'm just really grateful that he's there. And so my intentions, just in terms of that, are just be it pets, be it family, just really being grateful. So that's part of my intention. And then just one other intention would just be continued vigilance in terms of being a conduit for what it is that my heart sings. If I have a message to share, really being able to like honor that message as having its own essence and being an ambassador for ideas, as I mentioned earlier. I just feel that's a really, really interesting concept and really important for me. So, and other intention is to definitely, and I've said this before, don't stay up past 3 a.m. Every time I do, it throws off my whole sleep schedule. So note to self, go to sleep before 3 a.m. or earlier. And one more intention I'll say with over this holiday is to wake up earlier. I'd like to catch some sunrises over the next couple weeks. I feel it's been a while since I've actually seen a sunrise, which is, in some ways kind of sad because they're like so beautiful and so meaningful. So really giving the sun some of my presence and being able to be grateful for the sun, shifting the relationship that we have like with that beautiful source of energy and seeing it as us and rising together as one. So those are just some of my intentions that I'd like to share. And I'll open up the microphone, the talking stick, to anybody else who would like to just share their intentions. So whoever would like to go next. And looks like Elliot dropped out, but we still have Ellie and Kamala and Jacob. So whoever one of you three wants to go.
I believe my intentions, what I'm really trying to like accomplish, would be just to remember to stop judging myself so much. I judge myself all the time, and I have to remember like it's all a process, and there's gonna be mistakes, and those mistakes have to be the experience to remember how to change whatever it is I need to change in myself. Yeah, I think maybe that, and trying to have like good scheduled meals throughout the day instead of like not eating at like like late at night and then like start being so super hungry in the morning. Like I think taking care of the body but more and less judgment on self. I'd like to work on that.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
good. Thanks, Ellie. All right, Jacob or Kamala?
Let's see. I definitely want to open up to the opportunities of manifesting more travel and adventures, and to open up to the unexpected in a positive way and not let my logic overrule things. So just enjoy a lot more.
Cool, cool. I like that. Awesome. Thanks, Kamala. And Jacob, are you able to share your intentions? I'm not sure if your phone was working properly or not. Let's give Jacob a second to respond. Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself, Jacob, if you want to try sharing. Okay. All right. So Jacob's just no mic on the tech side of things. So Jacob, if you want to just type something into the chat real quick, just any short form of intention, I'll just relay it there. And let me just check the chat within what we got here. Is there any intentions that people are sharing in the chat? Oh my God, there's Karen and Sarah going crazy on a conversation here. Oh, and they're sharing comparisons between the human chakra system and the Tesla coil. Very cool. I'm just trying to read real quick. So Sarah and Karen, if you guys have any intentions that you want to share in the chat, just feel free to do that now, and let me just check back over. So Jacob says, my 2016 to be infinity and beyond, turning to greens, believing in the moment, and reclamation, detox. And that's what he's got so far. Everything. So that's good. Awesome. Thanks, Jacob. And just reading in the other chat, Sarah, she says, my intention is definitely to wake up and stay out of bed by 9 a.m. So awesome. Cool. And I'm not sure if Karen got the message on that, so we'll see. But otherwise, just moving into the closing of the show, I think that was like probably again another 3-hour episode, which tends to happen here on Paradigm Shift. So thank you so much to everyone for being a part of this. I had mentioned at the start of the show that just to be able to brainstorm and get some ideas about the Patreon crowdfunding that I'm doing to be able to continue to support the project. And again, like that's part of the idea is that I'm literally like doing what is in my heart and listening to the universe and really putting more and more into this project as the platform continues to build. And there's more work that I still have to do, but I have a vision of what it can be, and that vision is created through the support of the community as well. So I will just say that if you are listening to this and maybe you guys heard the Jedi meditation and you just want to be able to add your energy to support this project, even just a couple dollars a month makes a huge difference. And you can do that through my Patreon at patreon.com/Brendon Culliton. And the links are available through ParadigmShiftCentral.com. If you scroll down to the very bottom of any page on ParadigmShiftCentral.com, you'll see a link to the Patreon there, or up at the top in the header where it says exclusive perks and rewards available. That also links to the Patreon. So you can check that out, and there are, again, rewards. I'll give you access to some of the one of the projects I'm working on called Wings of the Gods, which I'll be releasing episode 1 for in the future, and it gives you 25% bonus on shift button orders. It gives you access to Journey to Lucidity 3 early, and some other things that will be revealed as we continue to move forward with that. And shout out to all the people who are contributing currently. Within the Patreon, there's 9 contributors right now, so thank you to those guys, and that's bringing in about $115 a month for me. And the goal in this, as big as it may sound, is to actually have it at $2,500 a month through the support of the community. And again, that's going to really allow me to continue to pursue this as a full-time career. And what comes out of that is going to be more upgrades with the website, and also being able to allow me to do traveling with the Paradigm Shift tour, and to be able to visit you guys and to document that journey along the way. So I'm really excited about that. And again, I know it's possible. It's going to take patience, and definitely I'll just be able to make some amazing things alongside you guys. So I'm really looking forward to that. So again, support the Patreon when you can, and it is greatly appreciated, even if it's just a couple dollars, $5, $10, whatever works for you. So, and other than that, in terms of what's coming up in the future, Paradigm Shift stuff, there's no set Paradigm Shift radio broadcast that we have planned next. I mean, that's kind of, Paradigm Shift radio is kind of like here and there. Like, we used to do it once a week, but now that we're doing these once a week, again, like, that's just something that takes up a lot. To do a broadcast with that takes up like a fair bit of my focus and attention, and right now with all the other projects on the go, it's very valuable for me to just be able to do these broadcasts and then put my focus back into creating some of the videos that I want to get out sooner rather than later. So stay tuned for the next official Paradigm Shift radio broadcast, but at the very least, we may do another global meditation on the next new moon. And shout out to my dog, who you might be able to hear, Dallin. So yeah, the next new moon would theoretically be another global meditation broadcast, but you can also go back and check out the previous recordings. We've done like 4 or 5 of them now, and you can find those through the main website as well in the news feeds. And other than that, there's going to be some new videos that I'm going to be releasing. There's like a spoken word poetry one that I'm going to be releasing soon. And there's going to be more updates coming for the website. And if you haven't yet, if you're listening to this, add your email to the website email thingamabob. That's the technical name for it. Go to paradigmshiftcentral.com, and in the header, there's a little box that says Get Media, News, and Event Notifications. Enter your email into that, because this is going to allow us to like exist beyond Facebook, and part of it will be emails that I'll be sending out to you guys, and those will include newsletters, and like newsletters of all like the media being created within the community, including your guys' stuff, the Quest journals, and specific notifications about upcoming events such as future Hangouts and particular broadcasts. So the next team building Hangout will theoretically be next Wednesday, unless you hear otherwise. And yeah, that's pretty much where things are at right now. And again, you can find the links to anybody mentioned in the show in the notes for this episode on the Paradigm Shift Central website. So again, you can scroll through the feeds and just scroll through the feed to the December 23rd, click that and scroll down, and you'll see the links there. And in the meantime, definitely check out more of the stuff on the website. Check out some of the newest stuff under the community videos. Really encourage you to turn on the Paradigm Shift TV. That uses a randomizer, so every time you load it up, there will be a new video for you, which is like a really exciting thing in itself. It's like tarot and synchronicity. And yeah, again, I'll be updating the website more, and we'll get into those details as they unfold. So that's I think that's pretty much it, and I think we're good to wrap it up. If you haven't seen the Star Wars video, go check that out. Share it with your friends. It's still relevant, and I'll be doing the conscious movie review for Star Wars. That's one of the things that I'm still working on, so that'll be the next thing to come out, among other things. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And right now it's just Kamala and Jacob and I in the chat. But we shall nonetheless say goodbye to you guys. And on Facebook, you can find facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Radio, and facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Central is the main page on Facebook, and you can like those as well. But again, Facebook is kind of mixed feelings about it, because it won't give you notifications all the time. So make sure you got your email in that email list, and that'll make sure that you get notifications that you need. So yeah, thank you so much everybody for listening to this, for tuning in for this episode. And just again, you listening to this, you being a part of this is just part of the story. Go out there, continue to work on yourself, continue to bring some of these ideas into the physical reality. And again, you know, like in terms of like building physical community where you are, stay tuned for more updates. But in the meantime, connect with people where you are, look for places to begin hosting open-minded discussion and meditation circles credentials if you're looking at being an admin for a paradigm shift community where you are, and you can totally do it, and the force is with you always. So so we'll say it there, and let's officially wrap this up. So Kamala, and I guess Jacob doesn't have a mic, but Kamala, you can join me in saying farewell to the internets as we wrap this show up. Unless there's, or I'll just say, Kamala, was there any last words that you just want to share with people? Any last reminders or insights in any way?
I think we covered just about everything.
Literally everything.
See you on the astral.
See you in the astral. So
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. Okay, so yeah, let's do that then. And all the best to everyone. Merry Christmas if you're listening to this at that time, and happy holidays. And yeah, we'll get in another broadcast before the New Year's theoretically. But all the best to everyone. So Kamala, let's okay, now we can officially say goodbye. So goodbye to the people of the internets. Until next time. We love you guys. All right, stay in touch. Keep shifty, and we'll see you in the future. Peace. One love.